Rappel, Monsieur le greffier, s'il vous plaît.
Monsieur le sénateur Routier.
Présent.
Monsieur le sénateur Rosa. Monsieur le sénateur McLean. Monsieur le sénateur Ghost.
Présent.
Monsieur le sénateur Farnham. Monsieur le sénateur Balash. Monsieur le sénateur Green. Madame le sénateur Ferguson. Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Hélier. Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Clément.
Présent.
Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Pierre. Madame le connétable de Saint-Laurent.
Présente.
Madame le connétable de Sainte-Marie.
Présente.
Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Ouen.
Présent.
Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Brelade.
Présent.
Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Martin.
Présent.
Madame le connétable de Saint-Sauveur. Monsieur le connétable de Griville.
Présent.
Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Jean.
Présent.
Monsieur le connétable de la Trinité.
Présent.
Madame le député Martin.
Présente.
Monsieur le député Southern. Madame le député de Griville.
Présente.
Madame le député Hilton.
Présente.
Monsieur le député Lefondre.
Présent.
Madame le député de la Trinité.
Présente.
Monsieur le député Lewis de Saint-Sauveur. Monsieur le député Tadier. Monsieur le député Noel. Madame le député de Saint-Jean. Monsieur le député Higgins.
Présent.
Monsieur le député Masson. Madame le député Pinel. Monsieur le député de Saint-Martin.
Présent.
Monsieur le député Bryans.
Présent.
Madame le député de Saint-Pierre. Monsieur le député Rondel. Monsieur le député Mezek. Monsieur le député Lewis de Saint-Hélier.
Présent.
Monsieur le député de Saint-Ouen.
Présent.
Madame le député Dublin.
Présente.
Monsieur le député Labby. Monsieur le député Wickenden.
Présent.
Monsieur le député Bree.
Présent.
Monsieur le député Norton. Monsieur le député MacDonald.
Présent.
Monsieur le député de Sainte-Marie.
Présent.
Monsieur le député Truscott.
Présent.
Monsieur le député McClinton.
Monsieur le greffier.
Prions Dieu. Notre aide soit au nom de Dieu, qui a fait le ciel et la terre. Amen. Seigneur Dieu, Père éternel et tout-puissant, qui a établi le gouvernement et la puissance de la terre, pour le règlement et pour la conduite du peuple, et qui nous a commandé d'avoir toujours pour but la gloire de ton Saint-Nom. Nous te prions qu'il te plaise de donner à cette assemblée le don de conseil et de prudence, d'unir le cœur et l'affection de tous ceux qui le composent, et de la conduire tellement toi-même par ton Saint-Esprit que toutes les délibérations étant accompagnées de ta bénédiction réussissent au bien et au soulagement du peuple qu'il te plut de commettre à leur soin. Car nous t'en prions au nom et par le mérite de ton Fils bien-aimé Jésus-Christ, notre Seigneur, qui nous a enseigné de t'invoquer en disant: Notre Père, qui es aux cieux, ton nom soit sanctifié, ton règne vienne, ta volonté soit faite en la terre comme au ciel. Donne-nous aujourd'hui notre pain quotidien, et nous pardonne nos offenses, comme nous pardonnons ceux qui nous ont offensés. Ne nous entraîne point en tentation, mais délivre-nous du mal, car toi le règne, la puissance et la gloire, au siècle des siècles. Amen. Monsieur le sénateur Joseph.
Présent.
Monsieur le sénateur McLean.
Défaut. Défaut.
Monsieur le sénateur Farnham.
Présent.
Monsieur le sénateur Balash.
Sir, Senator Baloch is away on government business. He'll be returning to the island this afternoon.
Monsieur le sénateur Green.
Présent.
Madame le sénateur Ferguson. Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Hélier. Monsieur le connétable de Saint-Pierre.
Présent.
Monsieur le député Southern. Monsieur le député Lewis de Saint-Sauveur.
Sir, Deputy Kevin Lewis, Deputy Tadia and Deputy Pinnell are all away on CPA business, sir.
Thank you.
Monsieur le Député Masson,
Présent.
Monsieur le Député Rondel. Je veux que Monsieur le Député Rondel est tellement indisposé qu'on ne peut pas assister aux tâches en exposé sa santé. Monsieur le Député Mezek. Monsieur le Député Labbé.
At Deputy Labby's last evening, so I would think that's why he's absent this morning.
Defoe, excusez.
Monsieur le Député Norton.
Defoe. Les États sont constitués. May I start by welcoming His Excellency? It's always a pleasure to have him here. B and C are as on the consolidated order paper. D, notification of lodged propositions, the Health and Social Care System New Governance Model, P60 amendment lodged by the Health and Social Security Scrutiny Panel. States of Jersey Budget 2017, allocation to the parishes of funds set aside for the payment of rates on states' properties, amendment to P81, Minister for Infrastructure. Elected Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the States Assembly, selection and appointment, P84, amendment, Privileges and Procedures Committee. Elected Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the States Assembly, selection and appointment, second amendment, Senator, lodged by Senator Ossoff. Elected Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the States Assembly, selection and appointment, third amendment, lodged by Senator Balash. Marriage and Civil Status Amendment Number 4, Jersey Law, P91, amendment lodged by the Chief Minister. The draft law, Loi sur la propriété foncière, P94, lodged by the Chief Minister. Draft Petty Debts Court, Miscellaneous Amendments, Jersey Regulations, P95, lodged by the Chief Minister. JT Group Limited, Restructuring of Enterprise, P96, lodged by Senator Ferguson. The draft States of Jersey Appointment Procedures, Jersey Law, P97, lodged by the Privileges and Procedures Committee. The draft Finance 2018 Budget, Jersey Law, P98, lodged by the Minister for Treasury and Resources. Draft EU Legislation Payment Services, SEPA Amendment, Jersey Regulations, P99, lodged by the Chief Minister. Jersey Infrastructure Levy, Approval in Principle, P100, lodged by the Minister of the Environment. The draft Royal Court Amendment Number 15, Jersey Law, P101, lodged by Deputy Tadier. Short-term incapacity allowance, lower threshold, P102, lodged by Deputy Southern. The draft liquor licensing, Jersey Law, P103, lodged by the Minister for Economic Development, Tourism, Sport and Culture. The draft employment minimum wage amendment number 14, Jersey Regulations, P104, lodged by the Minister for Social Security. The draft Howard Davis Farm arrangements for further abrogation of covenant, P105, lodged by the Minister for Infrastructure. The draft Status and Census, Jersey Law, P106, lodged by the Chief Minister. Future Hospital Approval of Preferred Scheme and Funding, P107, lodged by the Minister for Treasury and Resources. Independent Jersey Care Inquiry Report, Implementation of Recommendations, P108, lodged by the Chief Minister. Under E, in accordance with Standing Order 34.1, the Minister for Economic Development, Tourism, Sport and Culture gives notice that the draft liquor licensing Jersey Law, P54, is withdrawn. You don't want to say anything about that, Assistant Minister, do you? That is the earlier one which was withdrawn, and when I saw... It's really just to inform the public why you're doing what you're doing. I thought maybe you wanted to say something.
Purely that due to the time given to the scrutiny panel to carry out its review, the previous proposition was going to run out of time, so we've relodged it for hopefully for a debate in January.
Thank you. Under F, appointment of ministers, committees and panels. Chairman, I understand there is a nomination which you have wished to put forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. I'm very pleased to propose Deputy Kevin Lewis of St Saviour as a member of the Privileges and Procedures Committee to replace the Constable of St John. Not that one ever can really replace the Constable of St John, but caused the vacancy. Deputy Kevin Lewis, as members will know, is a measured and balanced politician and member of this Assembly, respected by most, if not all, of his colleagues in this Assembly, and indeed has experience of ministerial roles as well as scrutiny roles, and therefore I suggest he is the ideal candidate, and I'm pleased to make the proposition, sir.
Proposition seconded? Yes, sir. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Senator Philip Ozer for the vacancy.
Seconded? Are there any other nominations?
Yes, sir. I'd like to nominate my fellow St Brellard's representative, Deputy Monfortellier. I think we all know that he's got a long history and an interest in constitutional matters and matters of this House, and I'm pleased to put his name forward, sir.
Deputy Kevin Lewis. Are there any other nominations? I'm sorry. So, seconded. Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Very well. Then we will proceed to a. I'm sorry. Secret ballot. Proceed to a vote. Ballot papers are being distributed. Remind members, you can only vote for one person. So it's 122. Pursuant to Standing Order 122.4, if there are... No, sorry, so 3 candidates. Sorry? If there are more than 3, that's not applicable.
Yeah, but the necessary modifications. So there's one vacancy. So if there's more than one candidate, there shall be a secret ballot,
Yes.
and the one who gets the highest numbers.
Thank you. So under Standing Order 122.4 and 15, there is a secret ballot, and the candidate who receives the highest number of votes will be appointed as a member. Well, if all members have had a ballot paper? Yep. Very good. Well, if you collect the votes, please.
Sorry, sir. Did you say it's the highest number of votes, or was it 1 to 50%? Is it the highest number of votes and that's it, or do they have to go over the 50%?
No, the highest number of votes. First past the post. Have all members now deposited their votes? Then I shall ask the Viscount Chief Usher to go and do the counting. Thank you. Well, while that counting is being done, I shall carry on with the order paper. There's nothing under G or H. Under I, written questions. The Minister for Economic Development, Tourism, Sport and Culture will table an answer to a question asked by Senator Ossoff regarding the Jersey Aircraft Registry. The Minister for Treasury and Resources will table an answer to a question asked by Senator Ossoff regarding GST on private aircraft. The Chairman of the State's Employment Board will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Mussell regarding compromise agreements. The Minister for Education will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Southern regarding a change of role for the current head teacher of Oak Valley School. The Chief Minister will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Southern regarding the introduction of a Jersey living wage. The Minister for Social Security will table an answer to a question asked by the Deputy of St John regarding income support overpayments. The Chief Minister will table an answer to a question asked by the Deputy of St John regarding the appointment of the new Chief Executive of the States. The Minister for Education will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Doublé about something or other. The Chief Minister will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Mezek regarding the creation of a Public Services Ombudsman. The Chief Minister will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Mezek regarding the appointment of 4 interim consultants. The Minister for Treasury and Resources will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Mezek regarding the legal compliance of the proposed retail tax. The Minister for Economic Development, Sport and Culture will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Mezek regarding the amendment of the maintenance of the aircraft registry. The Minister for Social Security will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Southern regarding the results of the Social Security review. The Minister for Health and Social Services will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Higgins regarding social workers. The Minister for Health and Social Services will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Higgins regarding agency staff. The Chief Minister will table an answer to a question asked by Deputy Higgins regarding the number of registration cards issued under the Control of Housing and Work Jersey Law 2012. The written question from Deputy Doublé to the Minister of Education concerned the Nursery Education Fund, its calculation, and what consultation there was with private nursery providers. We now come to question time. Oral questions.
So, if I may, could I just please advise the Assembly I shall be missing for part of the afternoon due to medical appointment at the hospital.
We come to oral questions. The first question, Deputy Doublé will ask of the Minister for Education.
Thank you, sir. When is the Minister planning to implement Nursery Education Fund means testing for all providers, as approved within P68 2016 MTFP edition 2017 to 2019?
Minister.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to the Deputy. Just to remind members, last October this Assembly agreed that we should proceed with means testing for nursery places. This was originally due to start in September 2017, but was postponed for a year until we received the findings of a report into this area by the Early Years Childhood Partnership, an independent body that includes experts in this field. The report is due in November, and once I have seen it, digested the recommendations and decided on a course of action, I'll make an announcement on any changes.
Supplementary, please, sir. Is the Minister aware that parents plan years in advance for the care and education of their children? And does he agree that it's unacceptable that they are left waiting and completely uncertain as to what is happening with regards to the provision for their child's nursery care?
Thank you. Yes, I am aware, and I always take the parents' views into account, but, mainly because I'm focused on the situation with regard to the children. It's unfortunate. I was advised that the report would be in this month. Unfortunately, it's been moved to November. I was only informed this just prior to the half term. But as soon as I have that information, I will make it public.
Can the Minister inform members what that timescale means in terms of bringing forward to the states a proposition based on the report? When will he be taking that action?
Thank you, sir. I'll be taking that action as soon as I've looked at the report and seen what the report details. I have no evidence of what the report contains presently, but as soon as I have that information, as I say, as soon as I've looked through it, consulted with my colleagues at the department, then I'll make my findings known. Thank you.
That sounds a fairly prompt mechanism for making this decision. Is he intending to make a statement and bring a proposition before Christmas?
So, thank you. What I'm intending to do, as I say, is to look at the report, look at the findings, discuss matters with my department, and if necessary, to go back to the nursery owners themselves to see what the situation is at present. As soon as I have that information, I'll come back to the House.
Deputy Mesnick.
So, I mean, I didn't really hear much of an answer there to what Deputy Southern asked, which is that can we expect something this side of Christmas?
Hopefully, yes, sir.
Final supplementary. Oh, sorry. Deputy Thornton.
Yes, sir. So I was trying to remind myself, because it's actually my amendment that Deputy Dublet was referring to. My recollection, certainly from the wording of the amendment I put in, it was some time ago now, was that there was no issue about consultation, that the education had agreed or decided to bring in means testing. They were going to do it in an unfair way because it was only going to be on a certain part of society and not another, or more particularly, actually, it was about, thank you, sir, or thank you. The question is why is the Minister deciding to consult on his original plans effectively? Because surely he should have done that in the past.
Thank you, sir. I think it's common knowledge that when I first came across the decision, you're quite right, the members decided here in this Assembly to go for means testing across the board. But we had always had it in our minds to make sure that we had consulted widely and actually had taken the view of some experts, which I think the Deputy Dublet is aware of. Mrs. Hamer is a fantastic knowledge in this particular area, and we wanted to make sure that we covered all bases before we move forward, sir.
Final supplementary.
Sir, has the Minister had any briefings from the individual who is crafting the report? And does he have any indication of whether the report might recommend that the means testing is not implemented for either private or state nurseries?
Thank you, sir. I had a briefing from the particular individual, but it wasn't related to this report that she was putting out. It was related to the early care abuse inquiry information that she has some relevance to. So I have no knowledge of what the report contains at this point in time.
Before we come to question 2, I'm going to announce the results of the ballot for the membership of PPC. Deputy Taddier received 11 votes, and Oza 14 votes, Deputy Kevin Lewis 16 votes, and so I declare Deputy Kevin Lewis has been elected. We come to question 2, which Deputy Southern will ask of the Minister for Health and Social Services.
Thank you, sir. Will the Minister provide members with the latest nursing vacancy rates in the hospital and state how many nursing shifts were filled by agency or bank staff, or both, in the first 3 quarters of 2017?
Minister.
So dealing with the first part of the question first, vacancy rate for nurses in the hospital was in March at 12%. Today it is slightly improved at 11.5%, but this does mask the true position. We have 29 new starters since March. We have another 32 nurses who have been offered and accepted posts and in the process of working their notice. And we have 23 roles up for interview. If they all start, sir, we will actually be at full establishment. And this has been due to a different way of engaging with a recruitment agency due to innovative ways of recruiting using digital platforms, social media, high-profile attendance at recruitment fairs in London, Manchester, and the most successful was Lisbon. So the second part of the question was about the use of bank nurses and agencies. 4,731 shifts on bank and 5,011 shifts on agency.
Supplementary.
So I'm just making a note of those figures and wondering how they correspond to my own figures, which suggest that some 600 shifts, nursing shifts, per week are being manned either by agency workers with little understanding of how things operate on the ward, or by bank nurses doing overtime. And the question is, how does his figures fit with a figure in the middle of this year of 600 shifts per week, which is enormous. It's equivalent to something like 90 staff.
So I'm not here to answer the deputy's figures. The figures I have come from the HR department and are the correct ones. If the deputy has different figures, then it's for him to justify that, sir. With regard to bank workers, sir, they're not ad hoc agency workers. They are our employees who have an agreement with us to work as and when required. It's an arrangement that suits both of us. And I actually resent the comment that bank and agency staff are less competent than other staff, sir.
Deputy Warden.
Could the Minister outline the new ways of working with the recruitment agency that he briefly mentioned then, and what learning he has gained from that?
I think the biggest learning, sir, and I'm not involved in the recruitment, but from speaking to the HR department and the chief nurse, the biggest learning was the use of social media before attending a recruitment fair. So they didn't just turn up at a recruitment fair and hope to catch people that were there. They let people know well in advance they were going to be there. When I say people, sort of people that we'd want to recruit, trained nurses in other hospitals, using Facebook and Twitter, letting people know that we will be there and we had posts to fill and we were looking for good people to come to Jersey. And so it wasn't just taking a chance on people arriving at the fair looking for a job, sir. It was priming them to think about looking for a job in Jersey.
Thank you, sir. How does the Minister monitor the level of overtime that is done by bank staff, and how does he judge whether the levels of overtime that they are undertaking is actually appropriate?
Sir, the Minister doesn't monitor it personally. This is an operational matter for the HR department and for the managers, line managers in the department, sir. What I do is get regular reports which tell me if I've got a problem in terms of recruitment and vacancies. And I've just shown members, sir, it's a challenge to fill posts, but the new way of doing it means that if those 20 posts or so, 23 roles, are filled in the near future, and everybody turns up as promised, we will have a full establishment.
So, supplementary, sir, given the situation at the moment with the vacancy rate, does the Minister have any reason to be concerned at the level of overtime that is being done by bank staff? Whether or not he's personally monitoring it, but from the information that he's given, is he concerned at the levels of overtime and whether that's appropriate to be taken in Jersey?
Well, let's put it in context, sir. It's considerably better than last year. Last year we spent a lot more on bank staff and on agency staff, so that's a trend going in the right direction, sir.
Deputy Hilton.
Thank you, sir. Members will be well aware that of a national shortage of nurses and medical staff. What difference does the Minister believe a key worker policy would make to recruiting additional staff?
Thank the Deputy for her question, sir. She knows the answer that I will give to this. It will help, sir. It's something that's being worked on at the present time.
Excuse me, sir, supplementary. Has the Minister got a timetable for the implementation of a key worker policy?
No, sir, but it is being worked on along with the right for partners. Husbands have the right, or wives, spouses, if you like, have the right to work if their other half is employed as a member of staff at the hospital. But partners do not automatically have the right to employment. And those sort of things are issues that are being sorted.
Deputy Mesley.
Thank you, sir. Could I ask for an answer to my previous question, which is about whether he has cause to be concerned about levels of overtime? But could I ask for an answer that doesn't refer to the context of last year, but refers to the context of here and now, irrespective of what the rates were last year? Is he concerned about the levels of overtime being undertaken by staff today?
No, sir, I'm not concerned. Of course I want to see it reduced, sir, because it's cheaper and better for the staff if we have lower levels of overtime. But in context to last year, it is greatly improved. Surely that's an encouraging situation, sir.
Yes, sir. In the context that any figure above 5% for a vacancy rate in nursing is considered problematic, will the Minister explain what the figure was last year and what his target is for getting the vacancy rate down to 5% in the coming years?
So I thought I'd already answered this question. In March it was 12%. It's now 11.5%. We have offered posts to another 32 nurses who have accepted them and are working their notice. We are actively fulfilling the process of filling 23 roles. If all those people come in post, sir, we will be at full establishment. And even with our vacancy factor of 11.5, that's considerably better than the UK. It's not good enough for Jersey, though.
We come to question 3, which the Constable of St Helier will ask of the Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, sir. would the Minister outline the likely environmental impacts of current proposals to build new homes on agricultural fields in St Peter and to locate the catering facilities for the proposed new hospital in St Peter?
Minister.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the outline planning application that has been submitted by Andean Homes to develop 65 three-bedroom homes on 2 fields in St Peter represents a substantial departure from the current island plan. Because of this, the proposal will be scrutinised at a public inquiry by an independent planning inspector who will make a recommendation to me in order that I might determine this application. I will make the decision to formally commence the public inquiry process shortly. I would expect all of the likely environmental impacts of the proposal to be identified and considered by the inquiry, and I will need to consider them carefully relative to the potential benefits of a scheme such as this that might deliver. It is not appropriate for me to speculate on what those environmental impacts might be at this stage. Turning to the proposed relocation of hospital catering to St Peter's Technical Park, there will be a need to ensure that the operation does not adversely affect the amenity of adjacent residents, and this is what the current planning consent for the operation of this industrial estate seeks to do. My department is advised that the proposal will not have a major impact on residents. Filter systems will prevent odours from escaping, traffic movement will be similar to previous occupants of the units, and the hours of operation will be restricted to daytime hours. I believe that the future hospital team is meeting with residents to address any concerns that they might have.
Any seconds is up, Minister.
Thank you, sir. I'm grateful to the Minister for his comprehensive answer. This Council of Ministers transport strategy is a little obscure, but I'm assuming it still includes the objective of reducing the need to travel. And I'm concerned particularly with respect to the hospital. I'm sure it's great they're going to look after nearby residents, but surely there'll be an increase in traffic resulting from this which will prejudice the lives of everybody who lives between St Peter and the site of the new hospital.
As I've said, sir, I'm not aware that the use of this unit at St Peter's Technical Park will create any additional traffic movements to the occupants that were there previously. But I would say to the Constable that while I haven't been involved in any way with the new hospital application, it must be obvious that if we are to relocate the hospital on its current site, we will have to move some amenities away from the site in order to facilitate any new building. And I think we must expect, not only with catering but with other aspects of the hospital, that some parts of it will have to be relocated temporarily while we set about the construction of any new hospital.
Deputy Higgins.
Thank you, sir. It's just a clarification of something the Minister said earlier. You mentioned that there are restrictions on the use of the property at St Peter's to within daytime hours. Is it not the case that the catering facility would actually be working outside those hours in order to produce all the things for the hospital?
Sir, I'm aware that there's a generic consent for the whole of the technical park at St Peter's, and I'm also made aware that, as far as I am aware, that the use of the catering facilities would not be outside of daytime hours.
Constable St Peter.
Thank you, sir. Does the Minister agree that the parish of St Peter have gone to great lengths to ensure that the environmental impact of the development of both in St Peter and also the hospital catering has been well established? And just to further clarify a point raised earlier, the number of movements of food from the unit will happen between 8 o'clock when it starts work and 5 o'clock, which comprise of 3 vehicle movements throughout the whole day, sir. And the food currently prepared at the hospital goes out to all the outlying areas, including Sandybrook and St Peter's and Saviour, and many other places, including home deliveries for certain people, sir. So does the Minister agree that we've done a lot of work in the background in the parish to look after both the transport and the necessary environmental measures of both these areas? Thank you, sir.
I'm not sure for the reasons he's given the Minister is able to answer that question. Minister?
The only thing I would say, sir, is that while I'm aware the Constable and his parishioners have done a huge amount of work on this project, I haven't yet, quite obviously, come to study any of the detail in the environmental impact study.
Fund supplementary.
Thank you, sir. So we heard this morning on the radio that there's also a proposed development of a large number of houses on a green zone area near Goose Green Marsh. And really my question for the Minister is how safe are the island's green fields in the hands of this Council of Ministers? In the old days, such developments used to come to the States for a debate. Now we have a UK planning inspector giving his views and a single minister signing it off. How safe are our island's green fields, sir?
So there is a presumption, as we all know, within the island plan that it won't be development on green fields. I said quite publicly in a recent speech that I was disappointed with my own performance about not safeguarding enough green fields for the future. And all I can say to the Constable is that we take very seriously applications in the green zone, especially when it comes to the taking of green fields. I too heard the report on the radio this morning and started my brain thinking about how the case that the Constable mentions was similar to the St Peter's one. But I think in the case of Beaumont, there's already buildings on the site. The case at St Peter's is a green field which is used on a regular basis for the grazing of cattle. But I do say to the Constable, we do take it very seriously, and moving forward I think we need to continue to take the building on green fields extremely seriously, because you only build on them once and they don't very, very, very rarely return to pasture land.
So the Minister didn't reply to perhaps I wasn't direct enough. Does he feel that such developments, significant incursions into the green zone, should come to the States for debate as they used to?
So the States debate the island plan, and that's the Bible, if you like, that planners used for the development of the island. But the plan is due for revision, and a new plan will be out in 2021. I certainly would expect officers at the department to start work on that next year. It's an extensive piece of work, and I would be looking for not necessarily some new, but maybe some harder guidance on how we use our green zone and how we build on it. I think the island in the future is going to have to make a big decision as to whether we allow the continuation of the expansion of village developments, which is very important to the parishes, especially out in the rural areas, or whether we continue to concentrate on building more property in St Helier. I fear, or I think it will probably be a combination of the two.
We come to question 4, which Deputy Higgins will ask of the Minister for Health and Social Services.
Thank you, sir. Will the Minister advise how many hospital beds are currently available and suitable for dementia patients, and outline what plans, if any, currently exist to increase the number of beds in the near future?
Minister.
Deputy McClinton will answer this question as Assistant Minister.
Thank you, sir. Before I answer the question, may I raise the defo on Deputy Norton, please?
Is the defo be raised on Deputy Norton? Defo is raised.
So, currently there are no dementia-only beds within the General Hospital. However, all adult beds need to be able to accommodate someone who may have a dementia. Approximately 20% of adults admitted to the General Hospital will have a dementia. Community and Social Services provides 3 wards for hospital and nursing care in the specialist treatment of people with dementia, with a total of 47 beds at Clinique Pinel and Rosewood House. Our Beach Ward is an 11-bed acute mental health unit providing assessment of dementia and cognitive impairment primarily for people aged 65 years or over. Maple Ward, an 18-bed intermediate and continuing care ward for people aged 65 years or over with complex dementia and mental health requirements, for whom return home or transfer to other long-term setting is not currently possible due to the level of mental health support they require. And Oak Ward, a 19-bed continuing nursing end-of-life care ward for individuals with complex dementia, for whom return home or transfer to other long-term setting is not currently possible due to lack of independent sector provision. There are no plans for HSSD to provide more dementia care beds. However, the department is keen for the independent sector to develop in this area, as, unlike other jurisdictions, there are currently no direct access dementia nursing beds within the independent sector.
Supplementary.
No, sir. I thank the Assistant Minister for his answer.
Deputy Martin.
Yes, thank you, sir. And it's good to hear from the Assistant Minister that Clinique Pinel is trying to encourage the private sector to do more dementia beds out in the community. But will the Assistant Minister please advise the Assembly that unless it's changed, there is always a waiting list for these 47 beds, because these are the people that the private sector cannot accommodate, and unless it's, as I say, it's changed, there is a real pressure on these 47 beds, and it's stayed around that number probably for the last 10 years. And if the private sector don't step up very shortly, what plans does Health and Social Services have? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, interestingly, the NHS mean provision of beds is 48 beds per 100,000 of registered population, and Jersey has 150 beds per 100,000 of registered population. 3 times the NHS average for older mental health service beds. There has been significant investment into community dementia services taking place through P82, which is increasing the community assessment and care services for people with dementia, and will allow us to reduce assessment beds from 11 to 8 over the next 2 years. Yes, we are looking forward and encouraging the independent sector provision for complex dementia cases, and a number of providers have expressed an interest in this, but this will take some time. But obviously, with the ageing demographic, it is important that there was provision for these beds, both as will be maintained by HSSD and increased in the independent sector.
Deputy Southern.
It's following the shake-up of delivery of home care in the community. Can the Assistant Minister inform members how many of the 23 home care agencies are specialists in this area and have staff who have successfully trained in dementia working in the community?
So I'm afraid I don't have access to that information, but I'm sure that we can find the answer to that question and forward to members.
Sir, I look forward to seeing, as members will, the answer to that question. And the supplementary is, and what measures does he have under consideration to increase the level of training of the staff involved in home care in this area?
As the Deputy is aware, we are increasing training locally across the board in health and social services, and because there will need to be a provision for this into the future, then obviously this will be looked at. But again, further information should be forthcoming.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me. Can the Assistant Minister confirm that Orchard House is definitely not going to be decanted to Clinique Pinel across the road? And if not, where will the patients at Orchard House be transferred to?
Basically, all the movements and changes at Orchard House, Clinique Pinel, everything will be subsumed and everybody will be cared for, because that is the primary objective. And as a result of the aforementioned Orchard House, Clinique Pinel plans, there will be absolutely no reduction in dementia beds. So we can rest the Senator assured that all will be well into the future.
Supplementary, sir. I don't think the Assistant Minister quite understood. I said, are the patients at Orchard House, who are mental health patients, not going to be decanted to Clinique Pinel? You know, these are patients with mental problems, not dementia. Are they going to go to Clinique Pinel, or where else are they going?
The information that the Senator is seeking is being handled currently. And for the movement, I happen to know that everybody is being taken care of and will be remaining within forgive me, just trying to find this information now, actually, if I can do.
If I can help, sir.
Oh, thank you to the Senator. Marvellous. You fire away.
Perhaps the Assistant Minister would like to find out and come back to the Assembly with the information.
The
If you don't have it...
No, I do have it.
Secretary.
I'm just trying to remember here. There will be a new unit adjacent to Clinic Pinel, which will cover the shortfall and help in the movement forward. So I hope that answers the question.
Final supplementary? Nothing. We come to question 5, which Deputy Messick will ask of the Assistant Minister for Social Security.
Thank you, sir. Further to the publication of the September 2017 Retail Prices Index and the Index of Average Earnings June 2017 report, which show that inflation is the highest it's been for 5 years and that in real terms earnings have flatlined for a decade, will the Minister consider repealing her order setting the minimum wage at £7.50 per hour and replace it with a higher rate?
Assistant Minister.
Thank you, sir, and thank the Deputy for the question. So on behalf of the Minister, I can confirm that she has accepted the Employment Forum's unanimous recommendation for a 4.5% increase in the minimum wage. This is the biggest percentage increase in 9 years. The increase is significantly above the latest increase in average earnings, which was 2.6%. The 4.5% increase in the minimum wage is also well above the latest inflation figure of 3.1%. The Employment Forum is an independent body made up of employer, employee and independent representatives. Each year the Forum considers a full range of economic data and forecasts in order to make their recommendation for a minimum wage rate, and their findings have been accepted by successive ministers. As the Assistant Minister for Social Security, I do not have the power to consider repealing an order made by the Minister, but I can confirm that I fully support the Minister's decision to accept the Forum's recommendation rate. Thank you, sir.
Supplementary?
Supplementary, sir. Thank you. The UK minimum wage target is that it's to reach £9 an hour by 2020. Even if we still go by this enhanced increase percentage per year, 4.5%, as the Assistant Minister said, we won't reach £9 an hour until 2022. So yet again, we'll still be falling behind the UK, despite the fact the cost of living is higher here. Since we had a report produced by Oxera, which laid out what they estimated to be the impacts of raising the minimum wage to £7.88 per hour or £8.40, would the Assistant Minister consider encouraging his minister to consider one of those rates instead, seeing as that the potential impacts that Oxera raised are actually not that bad and look like Jersey's economy could handle them quite satisfactorily?
So to leave you in no doubt, Deputy Messick, the Minister has really no intention of repealing her order to the minimum wage, which has been set at £7.50 for 2018. We as a ministerial team at Social Security have every confidence in the Independent Employment Forum's wage recommendation. We are assured that by the fact that the figure was arrived at following extensive consultation with all interested bodies in the island, and the expert advice was also engaged. Factors like inflation, the weakness of sterling, Brexit, and economic forecasts, which all have been taken into consideration during the Forum's minimum wage determination.
Deputy Andrew Lewis.
Thanks, sir. On page 3 of the Minister's proposition about raising the minimum wage, it clearly also says there about getting wages to 45% of average earnings by 2026. Would the Minister also consider reducing that, as the Chief Minister already suggested should happen? As the Deputy was saying, with inflation probably going to take off somewhat over the next few years, it would seem impossible that you'd even get there in 2026. So would the Minister consider an order that will also change that aspect of the proposition?
Hansard will show that I am supportive of a move to a higher minimum wage.
Not now.
No, not quite now. I believe this increase for 2018, the largest increase in 9 years, of 4.5%, is a start in the right direction. It represents a widening of the step, a quickening of the pace. So yes, I am supportive of a quicker move to a higher minimum wage, but at the end of the day, it's got to be down to economic conditions and continuing economic growth. And I think there is a great deal of uncertainty out there currently due to Brexit and various other things. So we've just got to be cautious, gently, and sensible moves.
In which case, would the Minister not consider an amendment to her proposition and reducing the date of 2026 to perhaps 5 or 6 years? Because otherwise your figures simply won't stack up, because by 2026 you'll be way off the mark of 45% of median average earnings.
I believe there is a move afoot in other areas to actually consider that particular manoeuvre, and I personally think that the very valid work that the Employment Forum do for the island, for the recommendation, has worked so well now over 12 years, and I really would prefer to stick to that, but I know there's a move afoot to actually reduce the time limit to actually get to that limit. So, is that okay?
Deputy Sutherland.
Thank you, sir. Does the Assistant Minister not consider that the publication of the Oxera report showing minimal harm to the economy, which occurred after the Employment Forum's recommendation, is significant, and will he not try and persuade his minister to pay attention to the Oxera report in achieving one of their aims of promoting financial independence? Does he not agree that this would be a good way to do so?
I've expressed my concerns in the past, and I know that Deputy Mezek has the best intentions. You all have the best intentions to increase the minimum wage. But I personally feel if you push too hard with an increase in the minimum wage, and if you move too quickly to implement a much higher minimum wage, there will, and I want Hansard, and it will mark my words on this, be job losses and business losses locally. I think it's got to be measured, it's got to be controlled. Sensible steps, one at a time. Thank you, sir.
Has the Minister indeed read the Oxera report and noted the minimal impact upon jobs that the Oxera report indicates? And does he not consider that this is a fresh factor coming into the calculation which he and his Minister should have taken into account?
The question is whether you've read the Oxera report. You can't answer for the Minister, I don't think. Or maybe you can. But,
I've got to say, so I haven't read the Oxera report, but I am aware of the findings, but summary of the findings. But just to reiterate, the Employment Forum's unanimous recommendation of 4.5% is the highest rate increase in 9 years. The rate is greater than the average earnings for 2.6 June 27. The rate is greater than the latest inflation figure of 3.1% for 2017.
Does the standing order on repetition not apply, sir?
I didn't hear that.
Does the standing order on repetition not apply, sir?
You've just repeated yourself.
I thank you for that direction, sir.
Final supplementary, Deputy Mezek.
Thank you, sir. On the bombshell that the Assistant Minister hasn't read the Oxera report, I think he might have cause to. I think he might have cause to read the whole report shortly. As Deputy Sutherland says, the Oxera report shows that the effects on the economy would be minimal, and that they predict that actually government revenues would go up by £0.3 million per year. Given that the Employment Forum, which nobody is criticising, given that they are currently working on the basis that the government target is average weekly earnings by 2026, which politically we now know is not the right target. The Chief Minister himself has said he wants to see that target change. Does the Assistant Minister not accept that the Employment Forum's recommendation, made for all the right reasons, is an out-of-date recommendation now because it doesn't reflect what we know that the head of Jersey's government says the target should be? Okay, the paperwork hasn't been signed to put that target in place. We know that really it's no longer the target, it's out of date. Would the Assistant Minister therefore like to encourage his minister to repeal the order that she has put out, setting the minimum wage to be £7.50, and instead replace it with a higher one that reflects the new ambitions that the government has said it has on the rate of the minimum wage, and go for a higher rate which the Assembly can decide upon?
The Employment Forum consider many things when they come to determine their recommendation. They would be aware that the Jersey Fiscal Policy Panel are forecasting a reduction in our economic growth in 2018, falling back to 0.5%. There's considerable uncertainty remaining in the UK and in Jersey. The Bank of England only today has forecast some 75,000 job losses in the financial sector should Brexit not reach well, it is a balancing act, very much so. But and retail sales are falling. CBI survey shows sales dropping at the fastest rate since 2009. There's a great deal of uncertainty out there. So to keep pushing the too fast, too soon, you're going to have a problem. And it will result in job losses. So the Minister and I are singing off the same hymn sheet. I fully respect the process that the Employment Forum go through, and we will be maintaining the set rate of £7.50 for 2018. Thank you, sir.
We come to question 6, which Senator Ferguson will ask of the Chief Minister.
Thank you, sir. Given that, when standing for election as Chief Minister in November 2011, the Minister stated that modernising the public service must continue, and said on the 3rd of November 2014 that we must keep up our efforts to reform the public services, can he explain what he has achieved with the past 6 years' expenditure and outline why he considers that a further 700,000 must be spent in the next 6 months?
Chief Minister.
Thank you, sir. There has been substantial change across the public sector. Departments have been reforming the way they work. We have reduced headcount by 500 in 3 years, and by 2019, during the course of this MTFP, we will have saved £77.5 million. But we still haven't become one government organisation. That is what the interim team will be working towards over the next 6 months. The external members of the team have extensive expertise in transforming organisations and will help us to make changes faster.
Supplementary.
Thank you, sir. Would the Chief Minister like to detail a little more about the improvements which have been made, given the culture problems exemplified by the complaint by Prospect to the Minister of Health and Social Services regarding bullying? The head count is still up around 6,500 members of staff. We have a very hefty management structure. Where are the improvements?
So the Senator knows that there have been many improvements, but in her question, her supplementary question, yes, sir, she knows the headcount has been reduced. She knows that we've made savings. She knows that in various departments we're working more closely together, particularly around the policy area. She knows that we've created new arm's length organisation. For some areas of government service, they're in new buildings. But the crux of her supplementary question gets to the point that actually she wants us to reform in a way that I think the new chief executive and the new interim officials, working together with officials who are already here in Jersey and employed by the states, are going to deliver this one government approach, which is going to allow for some of the changes in the way that we manage and provide our public service and ensure that sufficient resources are going to frontline services, so which I think she supports.
Deputy St John.
Thank you, sir. Could the Chief Minister pledge to have an analysis of where we are currently in order to be able to measure the future work of the Chief Executive and the improvement team that are coming in, and also agree that any potential savings that are made in the future will not be taken out of the budgets because they are needed to actually assist public services, not to reduce them?
So we will be shortly publishing an update on the change programme, but I think what the Deputy is asking for is beyond that, actually, is a more detailed piece of work, which I am happy to talk to her about the details and the matrix that she'd want in such a piece of work, because I think it is going to be really important to do that, to show when the changes are made and when they're delivered, and ultimately when they'll be adjusted in due course, because inevitably that will be the case, that we have a baseline piece of work to do that. So we need to reform the way we deliver our service. And that will mean that savings can be made in some budgets. But I am on the record as saying, and I absolutely think this is the case, that those savings or changes in the way that we spend money do need to be applied to frontline services. We know we've got pressures in health which will continue. We know that the Education Minister is doing a really fantastic job today, but the pressures in that department over the next medium term are only going to increase more and more as the differentiation of skills and how we educate our young people is going to be more important.
Thank you, sir. Is it not the case that his change programme is in fact stalled with the public sector unions refusing to talk to him, and that after 7 years of either freeze or restrictions on pay, time has come to honestly start renegotiation with the public sector unions on pay if he's going to achieve any cooperation whatsoever?
So I don't accept the analogy about stalling. There have been a long and difficult negotiations and consultations about workforce modernisation, and I'm hopeful with all the good work that the State's Employment Board have done together with departments that can be delivered in fairly short order.
No, sorry, Deputy, we've got numbers of people wanting to ask questions. I'm also conscious the Chief Minister is asking questions there shortly. Contab St Lawrence.
That takes
St Lawrence, did you say? Thank you, sir. Will the Chief Minister advise what this says about the performance of the current Chief Executive?
So I'm never one to try and play personalities. The current Chief Executive has served the States and the island for 35 years. I am, however, and knew when looking for a new Chief Executive, that the challenges that we face as a community, and we're not just talking here about ageing demographic, rising costs of healthcare, improving our education system, all of those challenges that we face, but also the challenges that we face internationally, mean that we have to put the customer at the heart of how we deliver our service. It means that we need to change at a more rapid pace than we've ever done before, and it means that we need the very best experts that we can from wherever they are. And I don't think that we should think that that is a commentary on the current Chief Executive. It's rather where we are in this time and place, needing to change in a totally different way from that which we have in the past.
Yes, sir. Just in asking this question, I just note my, in principle, support for the team that's coming in, as is on the face of it, in terms of what they're trying to achieve. However, could the Chief Minister clarify the statement attributed to him that the Care Inquiry report identified organisational culture as a problem, and that this was why the team was required, when, as we've heard, we've known that organisational culture has been an issue for years?
Indeed, we have known that organisational culture has needed to change, and in some areas we have seen that change. But the Care Inquiry reminded us of lots of areas that we've known for a long time have needed to change, and we haven't change them. Some of that is about resource. Some of that has been about courage. And I have been absolutely clear, and we did this recruitment for the new CEO, the selection panel, post the inquiry, and I've been absolutely clear post the inquiry. The inquiry said we've got lots of things right in our community, so we shouldn't always forget that bit, but it also pointed to areas where we've known we've needed to change and we've not done so. I am absolutely committed to, and I've said before in this place, it may not be publicly popular, but I am committed to driving change. We will only know if this team has been successful with the results that they produce. But we've really got to try, because the excuse that we've known about it in the past and nothing can be done is, to my mind, no longer acceptable.
Deputy Martin.
Thank you, sir. Yes, following on from what the Chief Minister just says, we will only know if these external members or experts will be successful by the things they have achieved, but I would like to know how they're successful by the targets we have set them, or terms of reference, a job description, and I'd like to know where this is, because I think the Chief Minister has seen this. And just on an aside, sir, I have a concern on the written answer to question 10 from the Chief Minister on the same subject. I hope that it's written wrong, because it says a formal decision to hire a transitional team was taken at a meeting of the State's Employment Board on the 3rd of October, following a presentation by the CEO designate and the chair of the commission. Surely there wasn't a presentation by the chair of the Appointments Commission, because that is muddying the waters completely. But it then goes on to say the chair of the commission was in the selection process to oversee the appointments in late September.
Deputy, it's not a speech, it's a question.
Well, the question is, on both, sir, which is right? Who was the commission, and what's the terms of reference and the outcomes for these 4 very expensive consultants? Right. And that's
okay,
it. That's the question.
That's a question that we can understand. That. Chief Minister.
So they're currently undertaking work which is largely fact-finding, understanding how we operate, and thinking of, together with people who are already here, who've got vast experience of the service, of what in management speak might be called a target operational model. But going back to an earlier question from the deputy behind the deputy, the new and incoming CEO is absolutely clear that he wants to take people with him, and therefore some of the conversations about what the new target operating model will look like, how we will structure ourselves, will be discussed and communicated with staff first, particularly any staff that might be affected by that change. And I think that that is the right approach to take. I wasn't at the State's Employment Board presentation, but it is my understanding that the presentation was given by the CEO designate. The Appointments Commission chair was in attendance because she had overseen that an appropriate process was used in the recruitment process for those 4 individuals.
Deputy Andrew Lewis, and then final supplementary.
Thanks, sir. The Chief Minister will be aware of a PAC report in 2015 that was somewhat critical of public sector reform, stating that there was a lack of clarity of vision, aims and objectives of the public sector reform programme. Is the Minister now satisfied that that has been overcome and that there is clear clarity here? And can he indicate fully as to what has been achieved so far, and have any of those targets that were set been missed? In which case, is that why you're having to take these further steps to employ consultants to ensure that targets perhaps are met? Had the targets been met today?
So the overall targets of making savings in departments are on track, which is fundamentally what we were about. I know the Deputy's trying to drill down a little more about individual projects and departments, and I don't have those details with me. But as I said, there will be an update in that regard published shortly. I don't think I'm speaking inappropriately when I say, and I think there is a feeling across this Assembly, that the reform programme has not delivered as widely or as speedily as we would have wished. And this, for my part, is another of the reasons why we have to change the way we approach the provision of the services that we do. And that means creating one government. And that won't just be about the way we deliver our service. It will also be, and we'll come on to a question about this later, the way we structure our government and how we remove the silo departmental approach that we currently have. It's absolutely fundamental.
One supplementary.
Yes, sir. If savings are on target, where are the reductions in managers and not the frontline staff? Why doesn't the Council of Ministers aim to run the states like the Conitabs run their parishes, or even how a prudent housewife runs her household? We've heard it all before, sir. The results we shall wait and see. Why does the Chief Minister not try and run the states in an economic manner?
Like a prudent housewife.
I've never been called that before, sir.
Like the Conitabs.
But the Senator knows, sir, that we present balanced budgets over the economic cycle. And the reason that the medium-term financial plan was so difficult was because it sought to do just that. At the same time, acknowledging that the cost of healthcare is increasing, the amount of money that we need to put into education was increasing. We needed to continue to encourage economic growth and jobs, and that applied pressure to our budgeting. I think actually, on the whole, we can be really proud of the way that we manage our budget, of the size of the balance sheet that we have developed over the years. So I don't see things perhaps quite as negatively as the Senator, but I do accept, sir, and this is the difficult point to accept, that we have not in the past worked as one government and one service, therefore being able to drive out some of the duplication perhaps at the senior levels. And I think that the approach that we're taking now is going to allow us to do that in a way that we have never done before. But the Senator continues to shake her head, sir. She is right in regard that we will only know that when we see the results.
We come to question 7, which Deputy Wickenden will ask of the Attorney General.
What considerations apply in deciding to bring a charge against a person naked in their own home who can be seen by a member of the general public?
Attorney.
Sir, a person who is naked in their own home does not generally commit an offence when they can be seen by members of the general public. However, when a naked person performs a sexual act, either alone or with others, and does so in the knowledge that members of the public can see him or them, or where they are reckless as to whether members of the public can see them, then that could amount to a criminal offence. The conduct could amount to indecent exposure or other offences. The decision to prosecute, charge someone is a serious step. Centenniers apply the Code to Prosecute, which is published, to ensure they make fair and consistent decisions about prosecutions. Each case is different and must be considered on its own facts, but the same test applies to every criminal case. There are 2 stages in the decision. The first is the evidential test. The second is the public interest test. The centennier will only start or continue a prosecution when both tests are passed. The evidential test is satisfied when the centennier believes there is sufficient evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction, this is an objective test and means that the magistrate, jury or jurats must be more likely to convict than not on the evidence produced. Once the evidential test is passed, the public interest is considered in each and every case. In all serious cases, there will be a prosecution.
There's a 90-second rule, Attorney, it applies to you as well.
Well, apparently it does so, yes.
Before we have any supplementaries, can I indicate from the Chair that it is not appropriate for the Attorney to be asked questions about a particular prosecution or a particular case, and I will disallow them because that is the nature of the independence of the prosecutor. Supplementary, Deputy Wickington. Deputy Hilton, I have next.
I think my question probably breaches
I
that rule,
suspected
sir.
it might do. Senator Ferguson. Is Deputy Higgins ready?
Yes, sir. Mine is a generic question. The Attorney General has just told us the centenarians apply both the public interest test and the evidential test. Now, he and I are both aware that that does not always happen, or at least it hasn't happened in one case that we've been discussing. What checks does he actually do to ensure that they do apply both tests before bringing a prosecution, let's say, in the magistrate's court?
Attorney.
Well, firstly, all centenarians are trained, both by the police in relation to matters that concern policing, but by lawyers in my department in relation to the conduct of cases in the magistrate's court. That includes training in relation to the code test. And in relation to any concerns regarding decisions made by centenarians, complaints are made to me, and I'm entitled to overrule decisions to prosecute or not, as the case may be, if a centenary has not acted in accordance with his discretion.
Supplementary, sir. What actions does the Attorney General take to ensure that they actually do carry out both tests? Because people, I believe, have been convicted in the past where it hasn't taken place, and you may not find out about the complaints until much later.
Well, sir, I've given an answer. I can't improve on the answer I gave moments ago.
Any further supplementary, final supplementary?
Would the Attorney General, I would ask the Attorney General if he believes that to charge a member of the public that has been reported for being visibly naked in their own home as a first offence would fail the public interest test for charging.
It would depend on the facts of the case.
Come to question 8, which Deputy Mussell will ask of the Chief Minister.
Thank you, sir. Further to the adoption of P53/2016 as amended, will the Chief Minister explain what improvements to the machinery of government have been considered, what changes are envisaged, and what those changes will entail, and when they will be lodged for debate, and if not, why not? Thank you, sir.
Chief Minister.
Thank you, sir. Outline proposals were developed earlier this year, but the privileges and procedures and the Chairman's Committee did not favour the changes suggested. Since then, of course, the Care Inquiry has highlighted the failure to tackle asylum mentality among public sector agencies. The earlier review of ministerial responsibility in relation to the Jersey Innovation Fund also recommended streamlining the way we transfer responsibilities between ministers and departments. So revised proposals are now under development, and I expect the necessary amendments to legislation will be lodged before the end of this year.
Supplementary?
Supplementary. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And therefore, will the Chief Minister confirm that in the proposals he'll be bringing forward, that he will be looking to do away with the Troy rule?
So that's not included in the current proposals that we're considering.
Yes, sir. Could the Chief Minister confirm or undertake that any proposals will be presented to both PPC and the Chairman's Committee before they are lodged?
Yes, I think that's an undertaking that I've previously given, and I think that diary dates may already be slotted. They're in the process of being slotted.
Deputy Martin?
Yes, just to follow on from that, sir, because P53 was mine amended by the Chief Minister about assistant ministers. And as he says, sir, the proposals brought to PPC and the chairmans were not favoured. And a lot of work, I think, was done on that. Can the Chief Minister not, this time around, consult with all states members at a briefing first to see if he's even in the right direction of travel? Because it was an easy proposition, and the Chief Minister seems to have made it very, very complicated.
I don't think, actually, in its basic principle of electing assistant ministers was easy. But the amendment that I put to the Deputy's proposal was to do a more strategic review about inclusivity and about how government operates. I have no issue at all with having a wider briefing to states members on this issue prior to lodging any legislation.
No further supplementaries? Final supplementary?
Just to thank the Chief Minister for his response, we look forward to the proposal.
Okay. We come to question 9, which Deputy Dublé will ask of the Minister for Education.
Thank you, sir. Further to the publication in 2013 of the consultation document Learning for Tomorrow's World, the Future of Education in Jersey, in which the then Minister determined to assess further the strengths and weaknesses of Jersey's education system in order to identify whether any changes would be required in the future. What work, if any, has been undertaken and what were the findings?
Minister.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to the Deputy. The consultation that took place 5 years ago was inconclusive and did not offer a definite way forward for the structure of Jersey's education system. However, there was agreement that we needed to improve standards for all students, and that's where the focus has been. The department, schools and teachers are constantly assessing their strengths and weaknesses so that we can make the current system the best it can possibly be. And it's working. Exam results have improved and our students outperformed England again this summer. Also, the consultation results were fed into the current business plan and distilled into the 4 key priorities you're all familiar with. The work on all of the action points is ongoing and more have been added.
Supplementary.
Thank you, sir. The Minister has said in the past that the system, our current education system that we do have, is not how he would design it from scratch if he himself had the opportunity. Was this a sentiment that was echoed in the Learning for Tomorrow's World, the Future of Education in Jersey consultation? And if so, yeah, was this echoed by the public in that consultation?
To some extent, I think it was, sir, but what we decided to do, I was fortunate that the current Chief Executive Officer had some time before he overtook his role, and we were able to discuss the document in some detail. I have it here. There are 3 documents that relate to that particular Learning for Tomorrow's World. And that's when we realised that actually what we had to do, rather than deal with the structure of Jersey's education, was actually to look at the education that was being provided to our children. And so firmly what we did was look at the children first before we looked at anything else. And so that's where we've paid our most attention, and I think that's where we've been most successful.
Deputy Messick.
Thank you, sir. In an answer, I think, to the first question, the Minister said that the response to the previous consultation was inconclusive. Could he elaborate on why he thinks it was inconclusive? The reason that I asked this question is I have in mind Guernsey, who are at the moment looking at reforming their education system, and they don't seem to be making much progress, and it looks like it's because of entrenched views that aren't evidence-based, that are forming a sort of political deadlock there. So could he elaborate on what he thinks the causes of that consultation being inconclusive were here?
Thank you, sir. It's interesting the Deputy mentions Guernsey. We had a meeting with both Guernsey and the Isle of Man a couple of months ago. And the Deputy is quite right. I think it's not just that the education system was being looked at, but I think the political system doesn't play to the strengths of what the Minister in particular wanted to do. So it's very difficult for
ideologies and the pedagogy of teaching to sort of get through to the best credit it could do, particularly from what I evidenced in Guernsey. The reason I think it was inconclusive, I think it was the public debate really provoked a bit of a storm, and it was quite controversial, and from my perspective didn't really benefit children all that much. So that was what we wanted to learn from. What we learned in particular was you don't need to set the different sides in education against one another to address the problem. It can and has been done through working with schools, the unions and individual teachers and improving the training and support. I think the reason for the inconclusive feel for it all is that nobody really came up finally through that particular report with a focus on what could be achieved by dismantling the current system that we have. So that's, again, the reason that we then said what we need to do is focus on the teaching that's being provided to our children and improve on that.
Supplementary, sir. Can I gather from that answer then that any future potential reforms to Jersey's education structure would be hopeless then? Because wouldn't it just be the case that if a similar consultation were taken, that those entrenched views would emerge again, and the best interests of our education system and the children couldn't be met because of those politically entrenched views? And does he see that as a problem?
Thank you, sir. I can't agree with the Deputy. I don't think that if another consultation, and I don't propose to do one at this point in time, were undertaken, that the entrenched views would surface in the same way. I think we've been very successful in the consultations that we have done with the current departments and the current team. I would probably point members in the direction of what we did with Lekeneve as an example of how we negotiated and consulted with the public and how successful we've been doing on that, in doing that. So I don't think it is a model that is particularly broken. I think if there were another consultation, I think people will understand the direction of travel that we would be taking.
Deputy John.
Thank you, sir. I actually believe we have the potential in this island to have an amazing education system. So I asked the Minister, in terms of long-term future of education for Jersey and the public, whether he considers that it is a role of this State's Assembly to have that debate about what kind of education system we need for our future generations.
Thank you, sir. I think we're currently always having a debate about what the education system needs on this island. That, I think, is a very healthy attitude to have. It's our consideration. Most of the points raised in the 2013 report have been actioned and remain on our agenda. These changes are ongoing. The curriculum is kept under constant review, and more GCSE subjects have been added to the numerical grading system next year. So we're always looking at the way both the system operates here on the island and what underlies that, the pedagogy of that teaching. Just to carry on, after the Tomorrow's World consultation, there were further discussions about the structure of the system, but there was no political desire to debilitize or dismantle education in Jersey. And we were given the mandate, with the drive from a new chief officer, to move ahead with improvements. And so some of the things we've done, just the main things, we've improved exam results for our students. We've launched the Jersey Premium to help disadvantaged students. We've expanded and improved our data team. We've strengthened the way in which we review schools. We've introduced a new assessment system, launched a new skills strategy. We've got a new Lekeneve secondary school approved. We've opened new primary classes to meet rising numbers. We've rewritten the Jersey curriculum. We've introduced the new GCSE exams across all schools, and we've completely remodeled our special educational needs service. So I think we've done a great deal underneath it all, and that's working along with the unions, along with the heads, and along with the schools to produce that. So I think the debate could be happening, but it is always happening in my mind.
Sir, supplementary? Thank you. Can I just ask the Minister then, all and well that everything that has been working and being done in education at the moment, but does he not believe that going forward that we shouldn't just blindly follow what the UK are doing, and that we should have that ultimate discussion and debate about what kind of education system that we can provide as an island to our future generations, not just what the UK are doing?
Thank you, sir. Thank you to the Deputy. I think the construction of our new curriculum is an indication that we don't blindly follow. In fact, the new curriculum is very much Jerseyfied, if that's a word, and allows greater understanding of our political system, of the history of this island, what the culture of this island is. We have a group of individuals working on a cultural passport for children, which would indicate that every child that comes into our system from the primary school right the way through to when they leave at secondary school will have experienced some elements of the culture of this island. So we've got ongoing progress in all these particular areas. So I don't believe that the system is broken in that sort of context, and I think the debate is always open.
Deputy Sullivan, then final supplementary.
One of the often repeated criticisms of our education system is that it's not very inclusive. What action has the Minister, or will the Minister, take to increase inclusivity in our system?
I dispute that, sir. I think that we have great inclusivity within our system. And in fact, I was just at a Caritas meeting yesterday. We were talking about the eradication of poverty on this island. And we were discussing elements of the inclusivity within the schools, and the various members, there was about 14 people around the table, were praising what was happening within the schools and the fact we do have a great deal of inclusivity. And just as I said at the end, we have completely remodeled our special educational needs service. I think it's of great credit to the teams that work within the schools and the schools themselves and the pupils and the students that they see a society such as ours.
Sir, the Minister's denial that there is anything wrong with inclusivity runs in the face of 50% of our students being in fee-paying education, and on top of that, a 14-plus system which excludes many candidates. Will the Minister treat this issue of inclusivity seriously, and will he state what he's going to do to increase inclusivity in such a system?
Thank you, sir. I think I must have been misinterpreted what the speaker asked previously. I thought it was in relation to the special educational needs. I understand now what he's referring to. It's always on our agenda to talk to those schools in particular about the way they move forward. We've got a great relationship with all of the schools right across the island now, and we do address that. We do look at that problem constantly. So it's on my agenda. I do understand what it means to people, but it's inherently unique to this island, and I think it's one of those factors that we can be very proud of.
So I want to thank the Minister for his answers, and I acknowledge what he is saying about the responses being inconclusive. But does he agree that that was not because it was not down to the fact that people didn't have views? It was actually there were actually very, very strong views that were split. And given that there are such strong views in our community, does the Minister agree that perhaps a further look at these types of questions is required? And would he agree to pass the raw data on to the scrutiny panel, anonymised, with whatever conditions he wishes to attach so that we can take a look at it, please?
Thank you, sir. Just to answer the first question, the last part of the question first, I don't know where the raw data exists now because this consultation was done some time ago, I think it started around 2011, but if the raw data exists, then of course I'll pass it on to scrutiny. I don't have a problem with that. And yes, the situation that we find ourselves in, we have been very careful about the way in which we've operated, talking to both teachers, heads and unions in moving forward with. I think there's been a great amount of time and effort spent with teachers to make sure that they, and I know this is dear to the Deputy's heart, make sure that teachers weren't overburdened with the amount of change that they've had to go through over the last couple of years. So we're now in a situation where we can begin to look at other areas that perhaps weren't on our agenda to start with. Thank you.
And question 10, which Deputy Sutherland will ask of the Assistant Minister of Social Security.
Thank you, sir. Will the Minister inform members what quality assurance measures are in place to ensure that the review of the social security system currently underway properly assesses the full range of options open to the Minister?
And I thank the Deputy for his question. The way in which contributions are levied and paid into the Social Security Fund and the range and value of benefits paid out of the scheme are all included in the ongoing review of the social security system. The review will feed into the next strategic plan of the new Council of Ministers and the medium-term financial plan that will be agreed in 2019. Surveys have developed with the support of the Statistics Unit. The current consultation includes number of public workshops which will be externally facilitated. All open comments received are recorded and analysed independently, and the result of each stage of the review is written up and published as it is completed. An independent actuary will actually review the fund next year. The Minister is confident that the approach we are taking will identify and evaluate the full range of viable options to maintain a sustainable social security fund. The Minister is equally confident that this work has been undertaken to a high standard and would be of great help to the next Assembly when they are asked to make decisions on the changes of the social security system. Thank you, sir.
The Assistant Minister is expert in not answering the question. The question was what quality assurance measures are in place, not what is the survey about. May I ask him then whether he's read the conclusions or the responses come from the survey so far, and whether he can justify the fact that in terms of paying for social security system, the second most popular answer to how do we do that in the future was to increase employers' contributions, received 71% approval rating. And yet, by question 20, in part 2 of the survey, it says, how do you think we should pay for an increase, this time, in parental leave? I would be willing to pay more contributions, is one option. I would be willing to accept reductions in other working age contributory benefits, is the other. No mention of employers' increase at all. How can that be justified on the evidence that he's got?
Start first of all by saying there is actually no ISO quality assurance that you can actually apply to a survey. I mean, we have engaged professional businesses from the UK to actually conduct this survey. We've engaged, and it's something which I know you appreciate, the statistics unit locally, to construct and our questions and answers. I was wondering where this question was going, because you are
through the chair, please.
Sorry, sir. So I was wondering where this was going, because you are a valued member of our scrutiny panel, and it's if you had concerns with regard to the quality of the questions, and it would have been, I think, quite appropriate for you perhaps to contact the department and to raise your concerns.
Deputy, through the chair. The
Sorry,
deputy,
I keep doing
the deputy can raise his concerns.
It's just being let loose for in 3 years. It's quite nice, just to. Anyway.
all the more reason to keep yourself in place.
So, if you have concerns, I really would appreciate that you come to the department and talk to us, sir. And and with regard, I mean, it's going very well, and it's so important to consult. I think as a department, that there are looking towards the future. We've got the ageing demographic, and I do celebrate the fact that people are growing old, but it is throwing up such challenges, and it is so important to maintain the health of the Social Security Fund. So I was just, I was wondering where the question was going, sir, and I was wondering what concerns Deputy Southern, and you've actually outlined that now. So I would, I haven't got an answer for you, but I would like you to come into the department. Or I do note that we have a scrutiny meeting on the 20th, and maybe that would be the best place to actually table this question. But and just in my defence, this question was tabled on Thursday. And the Deputy Southern did stipulate that this question should be answered by the Minister under Standing Regulations 13(3)A. I was happy to stand up and have a stab at answering these questions and trying to address these concerns, but I really do feel say you are on scrutiny. You really should.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Minister. Perhaps time to sit down.
Yep. Thank you.
Deputy Dublet.
Thank you, sir. I noticed the States of Jersey Facebook page promoting this consultation, and I wanted to ask the Assistant Minister for some clarification. The post reads, have you or anyone you know ever claimed a maternity grant or maternity allowance? The Social Security Review consultation is asking questions, etc. Can the Assistant Minister clarify that it's not just mothers who should be contributing to this consultation, and that the Department also need responses from fathers, and that it's not just those who have claimed benefits in the past with regards to parental grants, but those who may do so in the future? And does he encourage people who are in this situation, are thinking of having a family in the future, fathers as well as mothers, to complete the consultation?
So I would absolutely encourage everyone to actually participate in the survey. As I say, we are trying to plan for the future, which is so important. I haven't got the answers for the Deputy, but I will consult with the Department and get back to her with an answer on this one. Thank you, sir.
So can I clarify my question? So if fathers are able to contribute as well as mothers to the consultation?
As I say, I will clarify that for you, Deputy.
Deputy Messick.
Thank you, sir. My question follows on from that of Deputy Southern. I engaged with this consultation through activism, and I have to say the questions were unbelievably biased and I think inadequate, and this was pointed out to me also by other members of the public who were shocked that at no point was there an option to say that they wanted some of these contributory benefits to be paid for by raising the cap on social security contributions from the highest earners. Given that that would clearly be an overwhelmingly popular option, yet members of the public did not have the opportunity to select that, does the Assistant Minister believe that the consultation is therefore unsafe, and perhaps its conclusions, on the basis that the process was unsafe, may well be good to just disregard?
So we provided our scrutiny panel at the beginning of the year with a roadmap of the work that we are going to be conducting through to the beginning of 2019. We've already concluded the Living Longer Thinking Ahead. We had 1,300 responses. We held a number of workshops, and all the results have been written up and published. We've gone on to part 2, Living Today, Thinking Ahead, looking at the changes in society, maternity and bereavement benefits, using chatbot, as you say, an online survey. And we're also using an external company helping with workshop facilitation and analysis of results. Now, you would have seen that we will be reviewing Class 2 contributions. There will be a technical review. That will be the next piece of work, but I'd be delighted if at the next scrutiny meeting, you would actually bring this up. And
I'm not a member of the scrutiny panel.
yes, I was just going to say. So you didn't.
Through the
sorry, sir. Literally, this question we didn't. It was posted to us on the Thursday. It came in under, the right time. Yes, and we were seeking clarification if you wanted the Chief Minister to answer this or myself. I only heard yesterday that you wanted me to actually answer it, so there we are, and as it is. But as I said, I'll happily help, and I hope in the security process that we get to the bottom of what you're trying to see, because it does need looking at. Thank you, sir.
I have Senator Joseph and then final supplementary.
So do I not get a supplementary to...
No, you don't. Senator Joseph and then final supplementary.
Whilst recognising that due to the ageing society, all communities around the world are having to meet the challenges that this consultation is trying to answer, and they are massive changes for everybody. Would the minister, is the minister aware that the FPP panel, in their recent report to states members and others, said that Jersey should be regarded as a leader of having made decisions early in relation to the ageing society, and that once we have got issues to deal with, that we are starting from a much, much stronger base, notwithstanding the massive increase in the income that has been got from investment returns from last year's Social Security Fund. So whilst there are challenges, it's not the end of the world, and we're in a much better place than anywhere else.
Yes, I totally concur, sir, with the Senator. this government has been very forward-thinking. I think it's so important to be forward-thinking and look towards the future. We've introduced the long-term care. We have tax here in place to actually collect and fund it ongoing, which I think is, as you say, Senator, the way forward. I am so pleased that, as I say, we're not in a panic situation in any shape or form. The social security funds are in a very good condition. I sat on the Treasury Advisory Board for 2.5 years with the Minister, and we saw millions, literally hundreds of millions of pounds come in through investments into the fund. So, yes, we are forward-thinking. We need to continue looking to the future, looking at ways to make people save, contribute to their retirement, either through workplace pensions or savings. So, as I say, this is a very positive scheme, and anybody listening, I would encourage them to actually take part if they could. Thank you, sir.
Southern final supplementary.
Yes, sir. And may I congratulate the Assistant Minister on doing a perfect impression of somebody digging a hole. And may I ask further if he has actually read the consultation and the responses that were given, because his answers would suggest that he hasn't, and does he not accept that germane to doing the survey, no matter how many times you do it and how many contributors you get, is the quality of the questions? And I return to my basic question: what checks were run on the quality, appropriateness of these questions? Because without quality questions, the right questions, then the survey itself, no matter how widespread, is called into question. Does he not accept that some of the questions are misleading?
It's something I think I will go away and look at and study. I have read there's 1,300 from the first survey, where I've seen again the summary of the conclusions. Interestingly, it was the 35 to 55 age group that was responding mainly. It seems that the youngsters from 20 to 30 regarding their pension were not, or probably too interested at this stage, sir. As I say, I'll be delighted to look into this matter further.
We come to question 11, which Deputy Higgins would ask of the Chairman of the Privileges and Procedures Committee.
Thank you, sir. Will the Chairman provide the timescale for the lodging of amendments to the States of Jersey Law 2005 in order to standardise who may or may not stand for election to the positions of Constable, Senator and Deputy, and will he confirm that the changes will be brought into effect before the election in May 2018?
Yes, thank you, sir. Yes, the committee approved the final draft of the amendments to the Constable's Jersey Law 2008 and the consequential amendments to the States of Jersey Law 2005 at the meeting earlier this month. And we have since been waiting for the Human Rights Audit from the Law Officers Department. I'm advised that these have been received in a positive way this morning. Therefore, if I'm able to sign the Human Rights paper today, the proposition should be lodged today or tomorrow for debate mid-December or the first sitting in January. And providing the states approve those amendments and the Privy Council maintain their normal timescales, yes, the amendment should be enforced for the May elections.
Just thank the Chairman for his answer.
Come to question 12, which Deputy Mezek will ask of the Chief Minister.
Thank you, sir. What consideration, if any, is the Minister giving to implementing the recent recommendations from the Jersey Law Commission's report, Improving Administrative Redress in Jersey?
Chief Minister.
Thank you, sir. As I stated in response to the Deputy's written question on the subject, the recommendations cover a number of interlinked areas and will need to be considered as a whole. I do, however, hope an initial response will be provided by December of this year.
Supplementary, sir. One of the areas that the report looks into is the prospect of a public services ombudsman. Does the Chief Minister believe that this is a particularly important area to consider, especially in light of the way that this government has treated the States of Jersey Complaints Panel over recent years?
So I don't think this government has treated the States of Jersey Complaints Panel any differently to any other. The Law Commission has produced a very thorough, detailed piece of work. And whilst I might have my own personal views about a public sector ombudsman, and I think that a lot of benefit could be derived from such a position, the Law Commission interlinks it with many other areas which are not quite so straightforward, and therefore we need to consider all of what's being proposed by them.
Yes, sir. And I presume that this Chief Minister has read the reports, or at least a summary. And could he assure members that he will attempt to keep, if we end up with an equivalent to the Complaints Board, to keep...
Deputy, would you please sit down? Could I please ask members who are listening to these questions in the coffee room to return to the chamber, as we are no longer quorate? Very well. Greffier, would you please call the roll? Sorry, we do it electronically. All members present, would they kindly please press their voting buttons? Can I thank the Deputy of St Peter and Deputy Masson, Deputy the Minister for Education, Senator Routier for returning to the chamber, Deputy Le Fondre, Deputy St One. That's very good. We're now quorate. Deputy Southern.
Thank you, sir. In the light of the recommendations, what may replace the Complaints Board, whether it's an ombudsman or other structure, will the Minister... Dear, let's try again. Third time. Apologies. In the light of the findings of the Law Commission about what will replace the Complaints Board in future, whether it's an ombudsman or some other structure, will he assure members that the clarity provided by the 5 points under grounds for upholding a complaint are maintained or improved? And will he further make sure that the part of their remit, the board cannot overturn a decision made by a minister, it can only ask the minister to reconsider that decision, is strengthened and given teeth so that ministers can be told that they've got it wrong and must put it right?
So I think the final point that the Deputy makes is probably at the heart of why many feel that the current system needs to either be strengthened or overhauled in its entirety. And I agree with that view, having sat on both sides of a States Complaint Board panel representing or being represented from a departmental perspective and representing constituents. I think it's unsatisfactory for both sides of that equation.
And in addressing the first part of the question, the 5 points starting with the grounds for upholding a complaint, starting with A, was contrary to law, and ending with E, was contrary to the generally accepted principles of natural justice, that structure gives tremendous clarity to a complaints board which doesn't exist for the other tribunals. Will he ensure that those 5 points, or its equivalent improved, address the whole structure that replaces the complaints board in future?
So I was careful not to try and second guess what proposal strengthening or a new structure might have as its ultimate remit, but the points the Deputy makes are very reasonable, and I would expect them to be considered and part of any new system.
Final supplementary? No. Thank you very much. Then that brings that part of question time to an end. We now come to questions to ministers without notice. The first question period is for the Minister for Infrastructure, Deputy Hilton.
Thank you, sir. A constituent recently contacted me expressing concern about either an order, I believe, that the Minister has made recently to change the way licences from other countries are accepted in the island. And previously, I believe we had a reciprocal agreement with countries that accepted Jersey licences and we accepted theirs. I believe the Minister has changed this, and I was wondering whether the Minister would tell ministers why he's taken this stand.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, the existing provisions still stand. So when we have reciprocal agreements with countries, we exchange driving licences. And where we found problems, sir, is that there's some countries that we've not been able to negotiate a reciprocal agreement. What we've done, sir, is to extend what currently is available in Jersey by adopting the UK standards as well, whereby if the UK would accept a driving licence from another country, for example, South Africa, then we would do so the same, sir. But we don't currently necessarily have a reciprocal agreement with those particular countries.
Supplementary, sir. But why have we adopted the UK way rather than keep our own? I don't understand why, if a Jersey person can't go to another country and exchange their licence because they haven't agreed to reciprocal agreement. I just want to understand why you would want to change that.
So it's quite simple. We still have the existing reciprocal arrangements with a substantial number of countries. What we've done is adopted, in addition to that, the UK standards. So it means that those residents to the island can actually obtain a Jersey driving licence without having to sit the Jersey tests, sir, providing that they would have been able to exchange their licence for a UK licence.
Thanks, sir. In relation to the Minister's responsibility for the new hospital project, could he confirm, or my understanding is correct, that the relocation costs for the new site have increased from £44 million to £80 million? In other words, near enough double, sir.
Sir, I will check on that figure. I won't give a confirmation of that because I haven't got those figures at my
page 152 of the report.
But I will confirm that in due course, sir. But I do know that the costs have gone up substantially. They've gone up as the figures that the deputies mentioned. I just need to confirm, sir.
Thank you, sir. Given that the Minister has confirmed that changes to Patriotic Street car park do not form part of the planning application for the new hospital, how will the Minister bring forward proposals for car parking around the hospital in tandem with hospital planning, or will we end up approving a new hospital without the assurance that there are sufficient parking spaces for those needing to visit it?
So the planning application that's currently, hopefully will be considered by the inspector next week, sir, is for the actual hospital site. There will be a whole series of planning applications, one for Westaway Court, sir, and many other buildings in the area. So there's going to be a series of planning applications. What the deputy will see is that the funding of the extra 2 floors for Patriot Street car park are now included within the £466 million, sir. But the refurbishment costs that my department were going to be carrying out in any event will still be coming from the car park trading fund. So a planning application will be brought forward for the extension if that's deemed to be the way forward, and that the extension will be funded out of the 466, but the refurbishment of the rest of the car park will come out of the car park trading fund.
Senator Phillipson.
The press have identified the disbanding of the diving team at DFI. Will the Minister describe the measures to be taken for cover which is covered by this team immediately and again once the team is totally disbanded?
Sir, I thank the Senator for her question about this. to me, it's another one of the areas where my department is having difficulties with our recently incorporated state-owned company, the Ports of Jersey. They took the decision to put out to tender the dive team. The dive team we have is currently made up of 5 volunteers. To have a safe dive team, you need 5 volunteers. One of those individuals is actually taking up a post with the Ports of Jersey. He's leaving his employment with DFI to take up a role at the Ports of Jersey. Unfortunately, the Ports of Jersey will not release him to do dive work on their own equipment, sir. And so we now have 4 divers in our team, which is below the minimum requirement, and so we are no longer able to provide that service to the Ports of Jersey.
Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to the Minister's briefing on the proposed use of Piquet House, which has been redundant for some time now. But could the Minister tell us what plans there are to put the old St Saviour's Hospital building to good use, and when will those plans be fulfilled?
Sir, as members will know, the main stumbling block with the release of what's known as the Queen's Building at St Saviour's Hospital has been the fact that it still have some operational activities there. That is being resolved with the move from Orchard House to a new built facility adjacent to Clinic Penel, and that will be hopefully will be approved in the budget when we debate it on the 28th of November or the day or so afterwards. The whole campus, the south side campus of St Saviour's Hospital site, will be reviewed. We're waiting for some feedback from planning in terms of the type of development they'd like to see there, and that would be that property is likely to be transferred to the State of Jersey Development Property for them to come up with a scheme to hopefully provide a mixed tenure of housing on that site.
Thank you, sir. There's been many reports of more fly tipping within the island. Does the Minister think that the change in policy that was adopted regarding charging of waste has influenced this, and will the Minister look to review the situation again?
No, I don't, sir, because the fly tipping that's taken, we don't currently charge households for the disposal of their waste. The proposals going forward were not to charge households for the disposal of their waste, so I don't anticipate that there will be an increase of fly tipping from households. There may be an increase of fly tipping from commercial activity, sir, but as I has already intimated, we were going to set up a task force to deal with this. Obviously, that's not going to take place now because the Assembly has pushed forward into a later date the decision on whether or not we bring in waste charges for non-domestics.
Thank you, sir. Returning to Deputy Hilton's subject raised earlier, sir, does the Minister not think that accepting licences for exchange from countries that do not accept our own removes effectively any bargaining chip that we may have had with to enable our Jersey residents to have that same treatment in those foreign countries? So I've got longevity with this, and it's 17 years since I started dealing with some exchanges, and some of the countries that are still refusing to accept ours have now, under this order, just been given carte blanche to come and we will exchange theirs. Something so it seems inequitable, sir.
I agree with the Constable that at first glance it does seem to be inequitable in one sense, but these are individuals that are coming to live in Jersey, that come to choose to live in Jersey, and it's really more about us being an open community to welcome these individuals. If they could have moved to the UK and automatically exchanged their driving licences, my department doesn't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to obtain a Jersey driving licence and take an active part in our community, sir.
Supplementary, sir. Does the Minister not think that this would be an ideal time to go out to those countries, we know which countries they are, and say, we would like to do this, this is the last stumbling block, will you accept our licences? Because we need to put the needs of Jersey people at the top as well, sir.
I agree with the Constables, sir. We do need to help people who have a Jersey driving licence when they emigrate out of the island to other countries, sir. And we do have a big range of reciprocal agreements. This is just a small number of countries that we've extended the UK scheme to, sir, to help those people that are coming to live and work in Jersey, sir.
Deputy Mesner.
Thank you, sir. Can the Minister recall how many full-time staff there were employed by his department when he took office as Minister, and compare that with how many full-time staff there are in his department today?
So I don't have the exact figures, but we have reduced our FTE headcount by some 100 members of staff, sir.
Full-time equivalent for those listening, yes. Deputy Higgins.
Thank you, sir. Over a number of years, the states have voted money to your department for a new headquarters for the Sea Cadets. Could the Minister tell us how much money is left of the money that was allocated to you, and what progress has been made to giving them a new headquarters?
So that's something that my department ceased to act upon when it was decided that the Sea Cadets themselves would work with the Ports of Jersey some 3 years ago now to come up with a scheme that was going to be partly funded by an additional £1.2 million that the states agreed should be kept in contingency for that purpose, sir.
Can you confirm how much money you paid out to the people who are doing the work, or do you still have the pot of money, and if so, how much is it?
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
So I believe it's a figure of around £100,000. I don't know the exact figure. I will get that for the Deputy in due course, sir.
Any further questions for this Minister?
Following the as reported by my constituents, very successful inauguration of the St Peters Valley cycle track, will the Minister advise whether there are any further plans to improve the surface on other tracks around the island?
Yes, indeed. I thank the Constable Assemblies for that. We were going to keep it quite low-key, sir, but we are actually about to start to resurface the cycle track around the perimeter of the airport. That work is due to begin next week, sir.
Deputy Dubé.
Thank you, sir. Can the Minister outline if the spaces in Minden Place car park will include any parent and baby or parent and child spaces that are larger?
So yes, overall there will be a reduction in the number of spaces in Minden Place car park because it is one of our oldest car parks and cars were somewhat smaller than they currently are, sir. So some of the spaces are really not practical to use. So we will be, I believe it's around 25 spaces are being lost to allow for larger vehicles, particularly those with families, to be able to load and unload.
Deputy Truscott.
Thank you, sir. Following a proposition that failed previously regarding the taxi drivers, there was an undertaking given by the Chief Minister and I presume the Minister for DFI to bring forward a meeting with the organisation. Just want to know if that meeting has been arranged and will he be letting us know the outcome of that meeting? Thank you, sir.
So the undertaking, if I correct in interpretation, was to bring forward the review date for the tariff, which was going to be in January 2018. That has been brought forward, and we anticipate being able to carry out that view, obviously this side of Christmas. Whether or not it's going to be completed by the end of November, I'm not sure, but it certainly will be before the summer, the Christmas break. So.
Well, that brings questions to the Minister for Infrastructure to an end. Chief Minister, we're pleased to know that he gets an extra minute of question time. And I call on Senator Ferguson.
Under natural justice, a person subject to investigation has the right to see the report of that investigation. Will the Chief Minister explain whether he has taken a stand to support the coxswain of the local lifeboat crew, what he has done, and if not, why not?
Chief Minister.
So I'm not sure that I quite understand what the Deputy is referring to, but I suspect she is referring to a report which is held outside of Jersey, and the process has been, as I understand it, undertaken to try and procure a copy of that report. And again, as far as I understand, that has not been forthcoming for a number of reasons, but I don't know what those reasons are.
Supplementary, sir. Will the Chief Minister confirm then that he has done nothing to support the local lifeboat, Coxon?
So the Senator knows that that is not the case at all. Officials not only from my department but from the Department of Economic Development, Tourism, Sport and Culture, together with a colleague minister, the Environment Minister, have worked tirelessly to try and satisfactorily resolve the difficult situation that we all found ourselves in. We are as well, of course, aware that there are these ongoing requests.
Supplementary, sir. The Minister, the Chief Minister, has not answered the question. It's with regard to the report. What has he done?
Chief Minister.
So I've had a number of meetings with a number of different officials from the organisation that we are talking about, and we have relayed in those conversations the desire of the Cox with regard to the report.
Deputy Sullivan.
Thank you, sir. The Minister will be aware that the SCB, States Employment Board, has failed to reach a payment agreement with several public sector representatives. Is it the case that any agreement reached over 1% in terms of pay will be taken from his intention to take that from the remaining budget, thereby imperiling the quality of service delivered?
So the States Employment Board have been endeavouring to deliver pay awards within the budget that has ultimately been approved by this Assembly. They recognise that pay restraint has been difficult, and they have worked with departments to try and ensure that extra funds were available to offer in a pay award. Those extra funds have been conversations with departments and largely agreement across departments that they will meet them from their existing budgets. There are one or two departments for whom they will need to manage that carefully in the short term until a longer term solution is found.
So is that a yes, they will be taking any extra money from the existing budget, and does that imperil the quality of services delivered?
So I think I answered that question with regard to where the money was coming from. I said with the exception of, I think, two departments who will have to manage their budgets in the short term, no departments suggested that there would be any diminution in service.
Deputy Dubler.
Thank you, sir. Following the concerns raised this morning about leading questions potentially within the social security consultation that's underway, can the Chief Minister outline what all departments, what the process is when they're constructing questions for public consultations? And is our independent statistics unit consulted to ensure that the questions are valid and that a representative sample is achieved so that the outcomes are ones that we can use to base policy on with confidence?
Questions for public surveys are, it's my understanding, usually devised in conjunction, or at least the statistics unit undertakes a review to see if there are appropriate and fair questions. I cannot say whether that process was undertaken in regard to the activism questions, and I'm surprised that some members today are complaining about the activism consultation, because on the whole I have had very positive feedback about the use of that technology. I suppose there are mitigating factors with regard to social security. As the Assistant Minister said, this is just one small element of a very detailed, thorough and over time process whereby they will come forward with proposals if change is necessary to change.
Deputy Hilton.
Thank you, sir. In recent days, Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn have both called on staff who've experienced sexual harassment to contact the police in the wake of a number of allegations of harassment by MPs. Is the Chief Minister confident that the States of Jersey have effective reporting lines for staff if this situation was found to exist here?
So perhaps I could join with both of those two individuals and make the same plea to any one that has suffered such harassment to, I think in their words, if it was of a serious nature, to report it to the police. That is absolutely what should happen. There are other cases of harassment and abuse which may not pass that threshold, and I hope that we have appropriate processes in place, and I will be, having returned to the island this morning when the story broke over the weekend, ensuring that is reviewed to make sure that we do. Because the reality behind the headlines is, I fear, that people are afraid to come forward and to make a complaint about individuals because it's the same that we've heard in the care inquiry. They're afraid that they won't be believed, that it won't be acted upon, and often will therefore suffer in silence. I encourage people to come forward and make that complaint so that that complaint can be dealt with.
Supplementary, sir. Can the Chief Minister confirm whether States members will be included in that review?
They indeed need to be, yes.
Deputy Griville.
Does the Chief Minister have confidence in SICRA and the professional services they provide? And in his opinion, do States departments now work better together post-ministerial government?
Two questions there, sir, and surprisingly the one is far easier to answer than the other. We have a competition law in place. The regulator... the regulator of that law is SICRA. The former Assistant Minister undertook a review of competition. Issues arising from that review, I think, are being implemented. That's now undertaken by my other Assistant Minister. And I hope that the implementation of those suggested changes will enhance everyone's trust in that organisation. When it comes to the second question, sir, does the current system work better than the previous system when it comes to cross-departmental working? I think there were many improvements in the move to the current system, but the issue of working across departments has not been solved, and to some extent it is fair to say that individual silo committees were replaced by individual silo ministries and departments, and that is why I'm proposing and will be proposing the changes that I talked about in answer to a question earlier, to create one government.
Good of you to wait until centre votes and left, Chief Minister. Yeah. Deputy Truscott.
Exactly, Chief Minister. Our organisation is spread around the island, and we've got Southall, we've got planning, we've got Howe Davis Farm for environment, education at Highlands, social security at Mott Street, main government, Cyril Marco House. There were plans afoot at one stage to actually start to centralise and become more efficient through centralisation. Now we have a new Chief Executive Officer in place. Is this something that he will be considering to bring forward? Thank you, sir.
So I thank the Deputy for his question. He is absolutely right. There were well-advanced plans to create a central building, but the difficulty was in agreeing a source of funding for that. So Property Holdings and Deputy Nell did a lot of work there. The incoming Chief Executive Officer is very keen indeed to dust off that work, and if that work, as far as it went, will take too long, then I think we're going to have to be creative about finding a suitable space that will bring us together. That will not find favour with every department. Already, some departments in the proposed scheme said they didn't want to move to a central office block. That's not acceptable. People if we are really going to change the way we deliver our services, one silo departmental minister saying, well, I'm not going to move, is the wrong approach. And it's the approach of yesterday, it's the approach of the past. There is a better way, and we must all strive to deliver it.
Thank you, sir. The States Employment Board have made some progress on removing the inappropriate use of zero-hours contracts for States employees. Is the Chief Minister satisfied that there are no remaining improperly used zero-hours contracts in the public sector? And if not, what's he proposed to do about that situation?
So the Deputy knows that a review was undertaken in this regard, and as far as I am aware, that review is now complete, and the uses of such contracts are done in an appropriate way. If, again, he has evidence where he feels that may not be the case, then please indeed get in touch with HR or States Employment Board, because they'd be keen to know about it, because as far as they're concerned, the review is complete. I would also say that the latest statistics show that from an island-wide perspective, the use of zero-hours contracts has declined, something like 700 fewer over the last 6 months, back to the level that it was in 2014.
So can I understand from his response that he is, in fact, perfectly satisfied that there are no inappropriately used zero-hours contracts operating in the state sector today?
So he's trying to lure me into, as is the acting chairman of the States Employment Board, lure me into an appealing yes to that. No, it's not, sir, and the Deputy knows why it's not, because the piece of work that States Employment Board asked to be undertaken has been undertaken. That work is complete. The States Employment Board have had it confirmed to them that at the end of that work there weren't any inappropriate uses of zero-hours contracts. But have they gone through every single instance individually to double-check that work? No, of course they haven't. They've relied on officials to communicate that to them, and therefore, as far as we are aware, there isn't any currently inappropriate use.
Centres.
Sir, thank you. Last night in the JEP, there was a story which was concerning a UK consultant. Now, the islanders and the media have a default objection to obviously wasting money. I wonder whether the Chief Minister would use the opportunity of questions without notice to explain about why an appointment has been made for the UK consultant, and could the Chief Minister explain the value for money and what this actually individual has done?
You have under a minute, Chief Minister.
So whether we communicate, we are criticised when we employ someone to help with that communication, and I think that most members of this Assembly would think that the way that the care inquiry, as difficult as it was handled as well as it could have been. That doesn't happen by accident. That comes by expertise in fields providing advice, and the story on the front page of the paper yesterday was about one of those individuals. I think we should be thanking them that they are advising us on how to handle lots of these difficult issues, and be in no doubt, sir, the challenges, as I've said earlier today, that we face across the globe and how we need to improve how we communicate and build our relationships are enhanced by this particular individual, and I think he's a great asset to the team, sir.
That brings questions without notice to an end. There is nothing under J, personal statements, no statements on matters of responsibility. We come to public business, the first item of which is the draft Health and Safety at Work Freight Containers Safety Convention Amendment Jersey Regulations, P80, lodged by the Minister for Social Security, and I ask the greffier to read the citation of the draft.
Draft Health and Safety at Work Freight Containers Safety Convention Amendment Jersey Regulations 2000. The states, in pursuance of Article 9 of the Health and Safety at Work Jersey Law 1989, made the following regulations.
Assistant Minister, you wish to propose the principles.
Thank you, sir. The Minister is absent on official state's business, and she's attending the CPA conference in Bangladesh, and I am pleased to act as rapporteur on her behalf. The proposed Health and Safety at Work Freight Containers Safety Convention Amendment Jersey Regulations 2001 introduced minor changes to the existing regulations. The draft amendment will have the effect of ensuring that the State of Jersey fulfills its international treaty obligations as a party to the International Convention for Safe Containers 1972. Consultation with the only local operator potentially impacted by the proposed amendment identified that the only containers which were manufactured prior to the 1st of July 2014. Therefore, the proposed amendments will have no immediate impact. There are no financial or manpower implications for the State of Jersey arising from this proposed draft amendment. I'm pleased, therefore, to propose the amendment to the States. Thank you, sir.
The amendment seconded. Does any member wish to speak on the principles? All members in favour of adopting the principles kindly show. The appellate is called for. The vote is on the principles of P80, the draft Health and Safety at Work Freight Container Safety Convention Amendment Jersey Regulations. Ask members to return to their seats and invite the greffier to open the voting. If all members have had the opportunity of voting, ask the greffier to close the voting. Can announce that the principles have been adopted. 33 votes in favour. No votes against. Deputy Mr. Moran, does your panel wish to scrutinise these regulations?
No, sir.
Thank you. Assistant Minister, how do you wish to proceed with the...
Sum up, this amendment introduced minor changes to the existing regulations. The changes ensure Jersey meets its international treaty obligations and maintain the principles, sir.
Well, we've done the principles. They've just been approved.
Okay.
Are you proposing the regulations?
I'll move to the next sheet then.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. En bloc, please, sir.
Yeah.
Was that the question?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes, indeed.
Do you wish to say anything about the question? Are they seconded? Thank you. Does any member wish to speak on these drafts? Deputy Sutherland?
Sir, yes. If I can straighten my face to speak, please. Yes. Could I ask for a point of clarification from the Assistant Minister in that he said something about containers manufactured, and I didn't quite hear, either before or after 2014, which meant that we don't use the containers specified in this particular item. Was that the case?
Any other member wish to speak? Minister, Assistant Minister, you wish to reply?
Thank you, sir. There's a safety plate on the containers, and because the local operators' fleet was built at a certain stage, that these regulations will not be affecting those containers. So they are within.
The question still applies. Was that before or after 2014? Was that the date? Is it?
That was pre, sir.
Those members in favour of adopting regulations 1 to 4, kindly show. Those against, the regulations are adopted. You propose the regulations in third reading, Assistant Minister? Seconded. Any member wish to speak in third reading? Those members in favour of adopting them, kindly show. Those against, the regulations are adopted in third reading. We now come to the draft Social Security Christmas Bonus Amendment Regulations, P82, lodged by the Minister for Social Security. I ask the greffier to read the citation of the draft.
Draft Social Security Christmas Bonus Amendment Jersey Regulations 2000. The states, in pursuance of Article 2 of the Social Security Bonus Jersey Law 2014, have made the following regulations.
Assistant Minister.
Right, thank you, sir. Once again, I'm very pleased to act as rapporteur for the Minister during her absence on official state's business. These regulations build on the work done last year to provide a targeted Christmas bonus to low-income pensioners and other vulnerable low-income groups. The targeted Christmas bonus has now been established under 2 separate laws. The Income Support Law provides a Christmas bonus to vulnerable groups who receive means-tested support with weekly living costs and are either aged over 65 or have a significant disability or long-term condition. The Christmas bonus is also available to other pensioners through the Social Security Bonus Law, and it is a minor change to these regulations that we are debating today. Last year, a Christmas bonus was paid to pensioners who were signed up to the 65 Plus Health Scheme. This was achieved through a transitional provision in the regulations, as the 65 Plus Health Scheme was due to be replaced on the 1st of January 2017 by the new Pension Plus Scheme. The new Pension Plus Scheme was set up as planned and now assists pensioners with health costs as they can get regular help with dental, chiropody and other optical costs. These regulations create the same eligibility for the Christmas bonus, but now on a permanent basis. If a pensioner is signed up to the Pension Plus in November of a year, they will get a Christmas bonus in December of that year. The pensioner does not need to apply separately for the Christmas bonus, and it will be paid automatically into the bank account a week or so before Christmas. This is a minor amendment to the regulations to allow a Christmas bonus to be paid to the Pension Plus members in 2017 and in future years. I am pleased to propose these regulations. Thank you, sir.
Seconded. Does any member wish to speak on the principles of these regulations? Deputy Wickington.
Thank you, sir. I just wonder if the Assistant Minister could inform us on what the value of the Christmas bonus for pensioners will be, as it's not written down in the report.
Deputy Sullivan.
And if he could also state what the threshold currently, on income threshold currently exists on the ability to receive Christmas bonus this year.
Thank you, sir. I've always had a problem with how those who can benefit from things such as the health bonus scheme are actually made aware of their eligibility for those schemes. And I think it would be interesting to hear from the Assistant Minister today of how those who are eligible for the scheme are made aware of it, because clearly it is dependent upon them being within the scheme, which allows them to receive the Christmas bonus. So I'd like to know, again, how the Social Security Department make people aware of their eligibility for the health bonus scheme.
Deputy Seymour.
Thank you, sir. Can the Assistant Minister clarify whether those persons who are registered...
Would you put your microphone on, please?
Beg your pardon. Can the Assistant Minister clarify whether the persons presently registered on the Pension Plus scheme have provided their bank account details to the department? And if not, how is it proposed to make the payment to those persons registered on the scheme?
Can we just clarify that? Did you say how do they do it? Or?
Well, my questions are related. Has the department sought the bank account details of the persons who are registered on the scheme? Because when the Assistant Minister proposed this, he said that payment would be made via the bank accounts, and I'm querying why it is necessary for the department to hold bank account details of persons registered on the scheme. But if the department does not, how will the payment be made?
Any other members wishing to speak? Deputy Mesnick.
Thank you, sir. When the income distribution survey came out not that long ago, it told us the proportion of pensioners who live in relative low income, which was around about a third. Does the Assistant Minister have any guess at what proportion of that third of pensioners living in relative low income who will be receiving this Christmas bonus? And is there any chance that some of those who are living in relative low income will not receive the bonus when it's clear that they obviously need it?
Anyone wish to speak? Then I call on the Minister to reply.
Thank you, sir. To start with Deputy Wickington, the value is £84.87. It's the same as it was previously. Deputy Southern, just to clarify the value. Sorry?
The question is basically, what's the level of means test?
The level of means test is basically 65. You've got to be a member of the 65, or the new Health Plus scheme. I think your net assets have not to exceed £30,000 between a partnership or a married couple. And is that?
And income,
and
which is fairly
premium
basic.
bonds. We take into account various things like premium bonds, jewellery, etc.
So if I
I
may,
think, Assistant Minister, you're being asked the income threshold.
The income threshold is 30,000 between a household. Shall I move on? The Deputy has some one. Well, we already have bank account details of pensioners, and they will be paid directly into those bank accounts. It's a natural process of the business. And Deputy Mezek, could you just clarify again? Sorry, it's obviously new to this, so it's say first outing in 3 years. It's quite an experience.
Sir, the question I was asking was, we know that just under a third of pensioners in Jersey live in relative low income, a statistic that I would hope we would find shocking and unacceptable. What proportion of those pensioners does the Assistant Minister believe will be entitled to a Christmas bonus under this new scheme? These are the poorest pensioners, almost a third of whom live in relative low income at the moment. How many, will there be any of these pensioners living in relative low income who will not be receiving a bonus under this proposed scheme?
So, with the ageing demographic expected to double in the next 15 years, it was thought that by the Assembly it would be too costly to actually maintain the previous Christmas bonus, which was amounting to £1.6 million a year. And that was going to everyone over 65, irrespective of their wealth. This policy, if it had continued, would have cost the taxpayer, probably over £3.5 million per year by the year 2030. So we've got a hospital build, £500 million, new schools to build the Kennebec School at 50 million, P82 in the community to implement, goodness knows how much that will be. There has never been so much demand on taxpayers' money. There is regret that the Christmas bonus to everyone has been stopped, but sadly times have changed. What money we do have has got to be targeted and to the people who need it and who are in most need in our community. So I do hope that if they meet the particular requirement of the Christmas bonus, that they will receive a Christmas bonus. But we've got during November, if they want to come in, if they feel they are eligible for the Christmas bonus, then please come into the department and we'll see if we can get you signed up. Thank you, sir.
Point of clarification, if I may, sir. I'm still not clear whether the £30,000 mentioned by the Assistant Minister was an income level or a savings level. I think I heard savings at one stage.
So if I might just remind the Assistant Minister that I also asked a question.
Awareness, yes.
Yes, well, we're getting there, so slowly but surely. Yes, we have been advertising the Christmas scheme. We've had posters in the car parks, the multi-stories. We've got a new leaflet that's going out to doctors' surgeries and parish halls, and we will be advertising in various media as well to make people aware. Maintain the
Those members in favour of adopting the principles?
So, can I ask a point of order before we do that? I'd have to ask your guidance on what the best way for this is, simply because I'm not sure. I'm sure that some members may feel that questions that were asked for this proposition haven't been answered to a satisfactory degree. Is there a mechanism by which we can ask for this to be brought back at a later sitting once those questions can be answered? Obviously, that would be down to the Assembly if they think that's appropriate, but is there a mechanism under which that can be done?
So,
there are different mechanisms, but the most obvious one is for the questioner who feels that his or her question has not been answered by the speech of the Assistant Minister to request today for that clarification. Very well, then I'll take it that no such clarification is required. Those members in favour of adopting the principles kind of show. Sorry, Deputy, stop a moment, please.
Yes, sorry, sir. Well, I didn't speak, but I'm absolute. I want to ask you if this is probably a point of order, and I don't think the Assistant Minister intentionally did this, but I think on the income, it's clearly people who do not pay tax, and he said the limit is 30,000. And I think, and then he's also asked on there that everyone who's eligible come in at 30,000, you'll be inundated. So I just don't want the Assistant Minister to mislead the House. I think it's around 14.2 for a single person. Is your income limit?
Assistant Minister.
So, could I bring the answers to this after lunch? Would that be appropriate?
Well, not really, because we're at the moment debating these regulations. So, if you wish not to go ahead with the regulations for the time being,
I would like to.
That you could withdraw that, but that would have other consequences.
Yes,
so I dare say you
we don't want to do that. Okay, Christmas bonus not treated as benefit or income. A payment and the entitlement to receive payment of the Christmas bonus are to be discharged for all purposes of income tax and for the purposes of any enactment under which regard is to be had to a person's means. Yeah. Absolutely.
So is it appropriate to refer this back to...
I would like not to refer this back. I would just like to perhaps clarify. Can we just get to where we are? What is it, Deputy would you just require clarification?
Yes,
So we can do that.
sorry, just to be helpful to the Assistant Minister. Sorry, sir. On your opening page, page 3, your Christmas bonus for 2017 future years, it's the penultimate sentence, really, which actually states these pensioners have to satisfy a residence test and do not pay income tax and have limited savings. And they are two different figures, but it is the paying income tax, and a single person pays income tax on 14,200 a year. So it's what the Minister is saying, sir, is double. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the proposition. It's just confusing. Thank you.
Yes,
I wonder if,
if we can have some assistance here.
I wonder if the report gives you some help. If you look at the second paragraph, the Christmas bonus for 2017 and future years, it is said that there are 2,500 pensioners now members of the Pension Plus scheme, which provides financial assistance with dental, optical and chiropody costs. These pensioners have satisfied a residence test, do not pay income tax and have limited savings. The scheme is open to homeowners as to the value of the family home is not included in the asset test. The regulations will automatically provide a Christmas bonus each year to every pensioner who is a member of the Pension Plus scheme during November of that year, and this will reduce the need for administration and ensure that all pensioners who have applied for the health scheme will also receive a Christmas bonus. That appears from the report to be the purpose of these regulations.
Thank you, sir.
Very well. All members in favour of adopting the principles kindly show.
The appel, please.
The appel is called for and invite members to return to their seats. The vote is on whether to adopt the principles of P82, the draft Social Security Christmas Bonus Amendment Regulations. I ask the greffier to open the voting. If all members have had the opportunity of voting, I ask the greffier to close the voting. Can announce that the principles have been adopted, 40 votes in favour and no votes against. Deputy Assistant Warren, do you wish to scrutinise these regulations?
No, sir.
Thank you. Then, Assistant Minister, do you propose regulations 1 and 2 together?
Sir.
Seconded?
Yes, sir.
Any member wish to speak? Deputy Sutherland?
Yes, sir. I just wonder if there's a standing order somewhere that says assistant ministers and ministers should read their brief before they attend the chamber.
Any other member wish to speak? Minister, do you wish to reply? Those members in favour of adopting regulations 1 and 2 kindly show. Those against, the regulations are adopted. You propose the regulations of third reading, Assistant Minister? Seconded. Anyone who wish to speak? Those members in favour of adopting the regulations in third reading kindly show. Those against, the regulations are adopted. We come to P66, the draft Public Health and Safety Rented Dwellings Jersey Law, lodged by the Minister for the Environment, and ask the greffier to read the citation of the draft.
Draft Public Health and Safety Rented Dwellings Jersey Law 2000, a law to promote the health and safety of persons in rented dwellings and for connected purposes. The state, subject to the sanction of Her Most Excellent Majesty and Council, have adopted the following law.
Minister, you wish to propose the principles?
Sir, should a declaration be of interest be made where members have rented properties that would be liable to be caught by such a new law, in which case I am a landlord and wish to make that declaration, but don't see why I should withdraw, because it catches a large class of individuals.
Catches a large class of people, Senator. Grateful for the declaration. Any other member who wishes to make?
Yeah, if I may, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All those who have such a declaration to make, will they kindly stand, and the greffier will note who they are. Very well. The greffier, you have everybody?
That's quite a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, thank you very much. Minister.
Thank you, sir. Sir, this proposed legislation provides ministerial powers to enact subordinate legislation based on best practice to protect the health and safety of occupants of and visitors to rented dwellings. The required powers fall into two broad categories. First, powers to introduce minimum health and safety standards with respect to rented dwellings. And secondly, provision that the states may, by regulations, to establish a scheme of licensing rented dwellings, and in particular to enable the Minister to issue and charge for licences. The draft legislation does four things. First, it defines a rented dwelling for the purposes of the law. Secondly, it makes the Minister for the Environment responsible for promoting the health and safety of persons in and about rented dwellings, and makes provision for officers to be authorised to take action on the Minister's behalf. It then empowers the Minister to make orders to promote such matters. In relation to health and safety, orders may prescribe what structural or other defects to be found in rented dwellings will be regarded as hazards, the method of assessing risks posed by these hazards, and the level of risk that is acceptable for any hazard. Finally, it provides for the Minister to prepare, issue and revise codes of practice to provide practical guidance in respect of any provision of the law or its orders, and to arrange printing and distribution of such codes. Enforcement, in support of the control measures, is provided by power to apply penalties or sanctions, either criminal or administrative. Sir, housing is a basic human right, enshrined in Article 25 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights as the right not just to basic shelter, but to adequate housing in terms of legal security of tenure, availability of services, materials, facilities and infrastructure, affordability, habitability, accessibility, and location and cultural adequacy. This is recognised in the housing strategy, which sets out a vision for all islanders to live in secure, high-quality homes, homes they can afford. One of the priorities of the strategy is to improve the standard of accommodation in the rental sector, ensuring that a robust, proportionate and effective legal framework exists to encourage good standard and properly managed rental accommodation. The World Health Organization has said, "The dwelling is the physical structure providing shelter and the necessary space, facilities and amenities for the household. The home is the social, cultural and economic structure created by the household. It represents a refuge from the outside world, enables the development of a sense of identity and attachment as an individual or part of a household, and provides a space to be oneself." So that the dwelling, its location and the immediate environment can have an impact on social, mental and physical health has long been recognised. It was Florence Nightingale who said, "The connection between the health and dwelling of the population is the most important one that exists." More recently, Sir Michael Marmot, who wrote Fair Society, Healthy Lines in his eminent report of 2010, recognised the link between poor housing and poor health in his work of health inequalities. Increasingly across the world, it is being recognised that housing conditions are a major determinant of health. Living in poor housing causes ill health, increases the likelihood of accidents and shortens lives. The report of the Independent Jersey Care Inquiry speaks of home situations deemed harmful or unsatisfactory and states, "Circumstances that increase the risk of hardship include the influence of inadequate and costly housing." States members will have seen the photographs in the briefing packs prepared by my department. These are indeed of Jersey dwellings and are indeed recent. Such properties are seen every week by the Environmental Health Team, and they are not the worst examples. The Fire Service has this year closed 6 properties which were deemed so serious a risk to tenants due to a serious lack of fire safety plans. Sir, the problem of substandard rented accommodation has gone under the radar for too long. The first model housing standards in the UK were published by Chadwick in 1842, and the first recognisable UK Act of Parliament which dealt with these issues was in 1917. A century later, this draft law seeks to set out, for the first time, minimum housing standards for rented dwellings in Jersey, a mechanism for their regulation, and the ability for the states, by regulation, to bring forward a scheme to licence rented dwellings. Members will know that the states regulates food, alcohol, entertainment, water waste, gambling, environment, drugs, health and safety, smoking, seatbelts, ice cream, and seemingly everything except housing standards. The field of healthy housing is multidisciplinary. It requires a shift, or rather a reconnecting, of the housing and public health fields that were once linked, but became increasingly separate during the later part of the 20th century. Indeed, one of the key barriers to creating healthier housing is that our institutions have largely been set up to deal with categorical problems in a categorical way, using categorical funding, discouraging cross-disciplinary solutions. A comprehensive, coordinated approach to healthy homes will result in the greatest public health impact. Directing resources towards a single disease or condition rather than working to improve the overall housing environment is inefficient and does not holistically address residents' health and safety risks. However, over the past few years, cooperation across departments of the states has led to more effective and more efficient work in the rented sector. The Environmental Health Team receives regular referrals about poor housing standards from many different professional groups, charities and organisations, around 20 in all. They work on a daily basis with colleagues from health, social services, fire and rescue, trading standards and many others. Some of us have seen firsthand the excellent work of the self-neglect group and also some of the disturbing living conditions endured by some islanders. The Minister for Housing has delegated powers to my Environmental Health Team to investigate complaints under the Residential Tenancy Jersey Law 2011, a good example of joined-up government. This work has uncovered and continues to uncover breaches where landlords fail to comply with the law, sometimes through ignorance, sometimes willfully. Either is unacceptable. This draft law adopts a comprehensive and coordinated approach to improving health and safety in homes. The approach, which has been gathering momentum in recent years, recognises that many hazards coexist in homes, especially older houses, from lead, mould, dust, pesticides, harmful chemicals, radon and dangerous structures, from inadequate plumbing, ventilation and heating. For efficiency's sake, certainly, and more importantly for the opportunity to create a health and safe home environment, it makes better sense holistically to tackle these in an integrated fashion. Healthy communities are an integral part of all aspects of public health and neighbourhoods. This central theme must guide our efforts to ensure that all are given access to a safe and healthy home. There are other reasons why we should be ensuring all rented dwellings are safe and not likely to make residents ill. A healthy population is an important goal with benefits for all. Healthy children are better able to learn. A fit workforce is more productive. And, according to the World Health Organization, a state with good health is more stable politically and economically. This draft law is about protecting the health of those who live in rented accommodation and, as far as is foreseeable, preventing them from accidents caused by the state of their home. It is about keeping them healthy and keeping them safe. Our ageing population is living longer. It is important we do what we can to keep them healthy and safe in their own homes. Sir, the draft law would apply equally to all tenures of rented accommodation in all sectors, private rented dwellings, social housing and staff accommodation. A vibrant professional private rental sector is vital to the economy of this island. Along with the social housing providers and accommodation provided by employers, they provide homes for over 20,000 households. Our good landlords, and there are many, should be congratulated. The less good should be encouraged to become better. We should never forget that we are talking about people's homes, people's health, people's lives. This draft law is very important in ensuring we protect our children by ensuring they live in safe accommodation, which will not make them ill. By so doing, the island's children can all have the opportunity to thrive and to fulfil their potential. This draft law is also very important to ensure we look after the mature in our community who can continue to live healthy lives in their own homes for many years to come. This draft law is very important in ensuring our workforce have a safe and healthy environment to live in which to make their homes. So it's not surprising that some landlords are against such regulation. They speak of a sledgehammer to crack a nut, of unnecessary red tape, of bureaucracy, of an army of inspectors. I recognise none of that. Evidence shows that this law is very necessary. Every week we find dwellings which are either unhealthy or unsafe. Every night families are putting their children to bed at risk of accident or ill health caused by their home, the very place which should be their place of safety and sanctuary. And what of the elderly? They too need to know their home is safe, that they are not at an increased risk of falling because of the state of their home. A broken hip caused by a fall on unsafe stairs will cost the states over £100,000 in medical costs in the first year alone. That is before incidental costs to a family and of course the pain and upset. Often the person concerned never makes a full recovery. A simple handrail may well prevent such a fall. Many families across Jersey have children with asthma caused or exacerbated by mould growth. Remove the mould, remove the cause of the mould, and the children's health improves dramatically. I hope members will have had time to read the shelter document included in their briefing pack. The case studies in that document demonstrate more eloquently than I ever could the need for our children to be in safe, healthy homes and the need to break, in many cases, the generational cycle of unfulfilled lives. So at this point, I should acknowledge that not all problems in housing are caused by the negligence of landlords. Landlords and tenants each have their rights and their responsibilities. If environmental health believe the problem to be tenant caused, they do and will continue to say so. This draft law is proportionate. It provides the necessary enforcement powers to ensure an incremental improvement in the standards of rented dwellings across all sectors. So what are those proposed minimum standards? Are they really so onerous? Of course not. They deal with the provision of sanitary facilities and somewhere to wash, with the provision of water, which meets recognised standards, with electrical safety, with gas safety where appropriate, and with fire safety in all rental dwellings. Possibly with the Grenfell disaster in mind, in this assembly the question was asked only 3 weeks ago, should all rented dwellings be subject to regulation for fire safety? It should, and this law covers that. Dwellings should have heating, lighting and ventilation, and facilities to allow meals to be prepared and for food to be properly stored. These are all things we would expect in our own homes. It may surprise some that they are not always available. They are the very standards already adopted by Andium Homes as part of the Decent Home Standards and by the growing number of landlords who have joined and who are joining the Rent Safe accreditation scheme. The Code of Practice, which I will publish, will detail the 29 hazards that will be assessed and the method of assessment. The process, known as the Housing, Health and Safety Rating System, is transparent and evidence-based. The Environmental Health Team and Andium Homes officers were jointly trained in its application, and it is the intention that training and awareness sessions will be offered to landlords, agents, surveyors and tenants' representatives. The system allows for nuanced enforcement, for dialogue and agreement with landlords, agents and tenants as the best way forward, and for persuasive compliance. It allows the difficult examples such as listed buildings to be dealt with sensibly. It is certainly not a sledgehammer. Substandard housing should not be a hard nut to crack. However, where all else fails, the law provides proportionate enforcement action with all the checks and balances expected in an advanced 21st century democracy. The information packs, which I hope members have all received, have graphic examples of why we need these standards. Many have voiced their shock that these are in Jersey. Not only are they in Jersey, but they are recent. The environmental health team sees examples such as these week in, week out. Common types of problems include lack of suitable drainage, inadequate heating, inadequate ventilation, poor insulation, dangerous electrical installations, condensation, mould growth, and problems such as water leakage, open cracks and or holes, broken plaster, and evidence of vermin. It's also true that in some cases money from the housing element of benefit payments is being used to pay rent on these substandard dwellings, and this can also not be acceptable. So what are the standards? The standards are basic. They do not deal with the aesthetics of a dwelling. They are not concerned with luxury. They are designed to ensure someone's home will not make them ill and will not increase their chance of becoming injured through a foreseeable accident caused by the conditions of the dwelling itself. These are standards which many landlords already achieve, some things I'm sure we will all agree that should not be a lot to ask for in the 21st century. So a part of the private rented market is already subject to licensing. I speak, of course, of lodging houses. This legislation is now out of date and would be repealed in due course by the introduction of a licensing scheme under this draft law. The draft law allows the states, by regulation, to require the licensing of rented dwellings. It would be my intention to bring forward regulations which would require all rented dwellings to be licensed. Licensing or registration is the only reliable mechanism to allow the states to find out where rented property is and to allow regulation. Details of the scheme will be brought forward before the states in due course, subject to scrutiny and to debate in this Assembly. However, I appreciate that there is much interest in this aspect of the draft law, and there has been speculation and misinformation in parts of the media. The likely cost of a license to license a property which meets a 5-star rent-safe standard would be £50 per annum. 4 stars, £100, and those which meet the bare minimum standards, £150 per annum. The link to the rent-safe scheme is deliberate. Accredited properties will require much less regulation and consequently should be charged less. There is an economic driver to encourage landlords to sign up to rent-safe, which is and will remain free, and to adopt best practice. It also rewards our many good landlords. There will be separate licensing fees for social housing and staff accommodation, again with discounts for rent-safe accredited properties. The environmental health team will be more proactive in their recruitment to rent-safe should the draft law be approved. I've been asked how this might change the housing market. There is no comparable jurisdiction, but I do not believe that £50 per annum, when the median average rent for a qualified one-bed flat is £1,000 per month, will have much influence on the availability of rental property. If only the minimum standards are achieved, the fee will represent about 1.25% of the median annual rent for a one-bedroom flat. If, as we are told, there is a shortage of rental properties, it's even more important to ensure that all of those meet minimum standards. During the development of the law, some 4 years ago, a previous draft became known as the Snoopers Charter. There has been some mention in the media of sweeping new powers of entry for officers. The powers available under the draft law are already available under other laws. The only way we would ever know if a property is substandard would be if it was so obvious from the outside or if someone complained. The improvements to rented dwellings will be, in the most part, be complaint-driven. Power to enter under warrant would require the provision of evidence for requiring entry. Without convincing argument and evidence, a warrant will not be allowed. This is proportional enforcement with checks and balances. What the draft law will do is to set down what the states consider to be an acceptable minimum standard, and so inform tenants what they should expect from their rented dwelling. And so I come to resources. During the last 2 years, with this draft law in mind, any recruitment to my environmental health team has been informed by the needs of the draft law. The necessary software required to make the licensing process efficient and as painless as possible for the landlords is in development. Unlike the landlords, we do not foresee the need for additional headcount or resources within environmental health at this time. However, we are not absolutely sure how many rented dwellings there are out there. We have contingency plans to cover the initial peak of workload, and if the need is long-term, we will recruit accordingly. If adopted, this law will be properly implemented. We have identified a need within the housing team as a consequence of this law and a possible additional demand on the fire and rescue service. We are speaking with colleagues and will ensure that all is needed to protect tenants' health and safety will be in place. Sir, I think the need for this draft law is clear. This law gives the states the opportunity to protect the most vulnerable in communities, the children who represent the future and about whom we have heard so much of late, the more senior members who should be able to enjoy their retirement safely and with dignity, and the workforce often silent, on whom our economy depends. I commend these principles to the Assembly, and I would hope that members realise the importance of these proposals. Thank you, sir.
The principal seconded.
Yes, sir.
Very well. Just two matters before we adjourn. First, I give notice to members that the minimum wage, revocation of Social Security order and amendment of States Act dated 21st April 2010, P109, has been lodged by Deputy Mezek. I've just received notice and would like to advise members that since the Assembly's last meeting, a former Deputy of St Mary, Mr Bertram Manning Lemaitre, passed away on the 10th of October. Mr Lemaitre entered the States in December 1981. He was elected to sit on a number of committees, including Public Works, Cottage Homes, Broadcasting and Fort Regent Development Committees. He was elected to the Assembly for a second term in 1984, after which he continued to serve on the Cottage Homes and Broadcasting Committees. He was also elected to the Housing and Island Development Committees. He retired from the States in 1987, when he chose not to contest the elections of that year. He is remembered as someone who was relatively reserved in this chamber, but he clearly pleased the parish as he was re-elected. He's described as a gentleman, quietly spoken and unfailingly polite. Our thoughts are with his son Robert and family, and I ask members to rise for a minute in his memory. May he rest in peace.
I propose the adjournment, sir.
The States will now stand adjourned until 2:15 this afternoon.